Hello. Bit of music to get you started, get you relaxed. Hope everyone's weekend is cruising off to a nice start, being Saturday and all. Welcome to the early show. Early birds catch the worm. This week we are going to be talking about managing the mess, and that's something that I'm really bad at. So don't know if you should be taking advice from me, but anyway, we're going to have a crack at seeing what we can come up with. Now, I'm kind of mainly talking about modular mess here in this particular show, so I do hope it doesn't disappoint you guys who are not into Eurorack and modular, but we will be covering some hardware synths in the show as well, and there's some information that you should stick around for as well. So it's not all going to be about modular, but there will be quite a bit. So fair warning. On a positive note, that's really good news for you guys who are interested in modular, or maybe you're interested in getting into modular, but you don't like the mess. So maybe this could be the show for you. Maybe this might twist your arm. I don't know. I don't really want to twist your arm. Let's say hello to everyone anyway. We've got chatties in the chat room now. I believe I actually, can't do that yet, can I? I need to do this thing first. Always forget to do this. Very naughty of me. Pop out chat. I need to grab the URL, copy that, paste that in here. It only takes a couple of seconds. I should work out a way to script this. And then that should bring that up there. And then with a bit of magic, we should be able to go kaboomcha. And there's everyone in the chat room. Nice to see you all. Hello, hello. Kent wants to know if there's anything on dealing with hundreds of broken bits. Yes. I don't know, I've got the same problem as well. Lots and lots and lots of broken bits lying around. I actually was talking about my Roland Gaia a couple of weeks ago with the orange keys, and I replaced them. I have to go grab them. I actually found a plastic bag in a drawer where I actually kept, I don't know why, I kept the orange key, so I can probably show you that. Looks like first Guernsey off the rank today who jumped into chat was Wagoo. Daniel, well done, mate. Looks like you can wear that with pride. Martin Taylor's here. Good to see you, mate. Always nice to have everyone here. Azio Head, good to see you, buddy. Paul Torbert's there. Eddie's there. Eddie's in the chat. Nice to see Eddie. Ooh, it's a bit warm here. So if I do sweat and perspire and drip and all that sort of stuff, my headphones will suffer. Hey, good to see Marcus Fuller. Nice to see you, mate. Indeed, hello to all the fabulous synth people. Indeed, indeed. Keith and Watford's there. Hello, hello. Where else? Big hello to a channel member and also one of my patrons is Henrik, who's JX3D. Awesome to have you, mate. Very nice to have you here, of course. Always contributing, which is a very, very nice and appreciated thing. Sinister Goatfish is here in the chat. Hello to Sinister Goatfish. Let us know where you're from. I don't know if I've come across that nick before. I could be wrong. My memory does slip these days. We've also got Paul, and I said Paul. Kent, I said hello to. Big hello to Kent. It's one of our channel members. Big welcome to you. Sensien was the one I was looking at. Hello to Sensien. Future World Machines, another one of our channel members. Big hello to you, matey. Nice to see you. Lots of hand clapping there. Human Error, big hello to you as well. And Steve Power, good to see you again. Neil Wharton, good afternoon. So obviously you must be in the European part of the world, UK or European part, saying afternoon. Magic Box Studios, hello to you. I'm scrolling as I hope I don't miss anyone. I try not to. Big hello to all those. Neil Wharton's there. Big hello to you. If you haven't actually jumped into chat yet and you can hear me reading out your names and you want your name read out because, I don't know, some people find it a bit of a thrill, jump in and say hi. Stephen Frey is there. Big hello to you. Hello, everyone, he says. Scrolling more. Cresshead, big hello to Cresshead. Nice to see you again. Always nice to have you here. And I think The chat thing just scrolled off the page and now I'm probably lost my place, but that's okay. We've got Stephen, who's Mac. Good to see you, mate. Had a chat to him briefly during the week, which was good. Always nice to catch up to people, even if it's just a short email during the week. Manny, who's Dr. Synth, good morning to you. Nice and early on your part of the world. What else? ALL, hello, everyone. Holla, I think. Sorry. And that is it so far. And that's actually pretty decent for the early show, considering that we just noodle about, don't we? Sasquatch just jumped in at the last second, and I'm probably going to have another crack at saying hello during the main show just briefly. Right, let's get stuck into things. Okay, we are going to talk about this week. We're going to close that little window off, grab my ugly mug up. We are going to talk this week, as I said before, about managing the modular mess. We're going to be doing it in the early show because there's a lot to cover, and I'll probably go over it again with the guys so we can have conversations about it in the main shows. So there'll be a bit of doubling, but it won't be a doubling of information, just a bit of doubling of that topic. So yeah, right. So what are we going to start with is we're going to start with a couple of hacks that I've come up with, and it's not my really original idea or anything, but I've just kind of, I don't know, I'm not claiming it, but I'm sure other people have done it. It's not like it's groundbreaking or anything like that. But what I do is I go to a little local electronics store and I grab myself these things. I'm just going to grab it out of the container here. Now, what's the best camera angle to get this on for you guys? Okay, if I go to there and I click on camera 4, yeah, that's going to do good. And we swap it over. All right, I'm just going to pop it on top here. What do we got here? These are little sort of electronic cable ties, and when you're building, you know, electronic gear, you'd put a couple of cables through there and you'd chuck a screw through. But what you can notice here is that they've got kind of like a flat side and a lumpy side. So what I do is I grab a pair of scissors and I just chop off just below where the hole is. So I've got one spot with the hole and I've got an open end. And I'm going to show you what that looks like on my Euro rack. It's not the best invention in the world, so please don't judge, but this actually does really, really cool things. Let me just grab a different view and then we got to swap it over. And you guys can see it right there. There's actually a couple on here. So I can zoom in for you if you want. If I can find my zoomy thing. Zoomy, zoom, zoom, where are you going? I think I closed it. PTZ zoom. There we go. So we're looking at this thing here. Okay, so you can see that's actually just floating around the breeze. It's got a bit of tightness to it. Like, look, this thing is not going to hold very strong things, but this is the first thing to help us with cable organizing. And you can see with that rack, now that you've seen a close-up of that, that rack there is kind of vertical, so cables will just kind of drop down. The gravity takes hold. And it's a good segue for the next thing that I'm going to recommend, which is actually what's holding it there, which is the knurly. If I go to here and I flip it over again, if you guys haven't heard of these, get yourself some. Why are they so good? I'll tell you why. Because you can actually take your modules out without a screwdriver. So you can finger tight these and pull them out. And at the same time, let me just grab one out and see if we can get a little bit of a close-up thing. At the same time, these have actually got a little, like a nylon washer up against the top of the head there where the thread ends. And that'll protect your rack from getting rack rash. So, and one of the things that I like about knurlies is they are kind of low profile. There are other type of thumb screw things out there on the market, but you can see that actually works well with my little cable holder thing, and it kind of works well. I think it looks I don't know. Looks okay. Not really happy with the color. I guess if I started going out there and checking the world to see what else was available, maybe I could find something better. But hey, that's a start. I just want to quickly keep an eye on chat here just in case any remarkable comments come up and I've missed them. Yeah, look, you could, Kent said, what about rack units that have a little shelf under each row? Or am I being a bit dumb here? Well, one thing I kind of do like how these are seamless. Like there's kind of, it's just nice. You can see there on the left, it's seamless between. There's kind of just a very small gap. Yeah, one of the things that we probably should talk about is actually rack units, because it kind of helps understanding a little bit about how these kind of work. Now, I always got to keep flipping the camera around. These are the rack units that I'm actually building for my case. So I've actually already assembled the frame. So you can see their frames. Now, when you actually mount your module on these frames, you can see at the bottom of the frame, there's literally nothing. So you could technically have modules butting up against modules without any gap at all if you wanted to. But I noticed in that case with the Arturia rack brute, they actually have a little separator there, which is kind of nice because that gives me just a little bit of space to you know, to do a bit of cable routing. I don't mind it too much either, how it's kind of just popping over the top of these. They don't really get in the way, and if they do, you can just sort of move them. If they just get in the way, you can just move them out of the way. So what I want to show you guys is, you guys might remember last week and over the last few weeks, we have had plenty of visions of me using my Eurorack stuff here. And you probably might remember that this is what it looked like. Not that. That is what it looked like. So it was just a mess. And this is kind of what led me to change it to this. What is going to be kind of amazing for some people is to actually understand that I have not changed any modules. I've kept all the patches the same, and yet I've gone from mess to a reasonable, I would say that's reasonable. What do you guys think? Do you think that's reasonably nice looking? There is a couple of things that I've done as a caveat. What I've done is I've moved modules from the front row to the back row, and as a result, that gives me the ability to tuck some cables in at the back. Now, some people might not like that. They might think that that's a little bit yucky looking. I'll just move the camera up. You can see them all tucked in between the two racks there. I don't actually mind that. They're out of the way. I mean, that camera angle probably makes it look worse than what it really is, because it's really kind of shining in directly at it. But honestly, to me, that doesn't really look bad at all, I don't think. The whole point is that you've got to be able to get yourself access to the controls on here. So there was two things that I had to do that. There was obviously the moving of the modules around so that I could route the cables better. And yeah, I've still got a big mess behind there, but hey, that doesn't worry me anymore. And the other thing that I had to do was I had to get these. So I just want to show you guys, if you've never ever come across these before, why do I keep going upside down? Get yourself a packet of these, or 10. These are called tendrils. They're made, I believe, in the UK from what I've been told. And I'm not sponsored by these guys. I don't even know who I am. So they're getting a nice big free hit from me today. They make all sorts of sizes from 10 centimeters all the way up to 60 centimeters. In fact, that actually isn't true. They actually do 150 and 90 as well. So they actually go quite a lot bigger. Yeah, one of the things that I like about the tendrils, I'll get one out of the packet for you. Well, you can actually see them. You can see them here. Is that they have a very low profile. So in terms of you actually plugging that into you know, any socket that you've got in your rack, they are very low profile. In fact, they're only about 2.4 millimeters in height. Now, if I go back to this other view here, zooming in a bit. Sorry, it's really hard for me to keep an eye on chat. I know you guys might be screaming at me and saying something's wrong, but I need to quickly check to make sure that's not happening. Okay, cool. So, so you can see just along the front here, you can see how these tendrils are just really low profile. In fact, all of the sliders are actually higher. The knobs and the sliders are higher than the actual tendrils. But if you compare that to the irregular, this is a Hoser cable, the HOSA, the Hoser brand, you can see really, these really come up really high and they just fray the cable kind of everywhere. And these smaller ones here, in fact, why don't I get my pointing tool instead of my big fat fingers? These ones here are Erica synth cables, and these are Hoser, and I've got a few others. So you can see like the vertical versus the horizontal. Now, okay, there's not going to be every situation is going to be good for like a right angled horizontal thing, but one of the things I do like about it is you can actually angle them away from where you want. There is another view I've got of this. I'm just hoping that the camera hasn't turned itself off. I want to show you guys the different view. Has it gone off? Oh. Why does it keep turning off for? Just give me a sec, guys. Here we go. Just give me a sec, I'm going to put this on. I'll just go to my face for now. Okay. I don't know why my GoPro keeps turning off. It's really annoying. Right, and we need to go like that, and then we need to flip it over. Whee! So you can see all my tendrils that I've bought here. And then just from a top-down view, I just kind of wanted you guys to see that, because if you're standing up looking down at your modular, you can see that you can access all the cables, and you can also access all the knobs and sliders. Most of them anyway. I kind of feel this is a lot more functional compared to what I had a couple of weeks ago. And all the mixing stuff is all pushed underneath, which is nice. It's actually all routed properly. If I ever need to change anything, it's pretty easy. The tendrils are going to be the stuff that I'm going to be changing the most. And you can see they're all nicely sort of routed around in various different parts. One of the other things I guess that I like about it too is you can see on that middle row here, I've done more of my little cable tie technique, and I've got them routing sort of in between the top and bottom row modules. So I just kind of feel that kind of works for me. So what did we talk about? We talked about tendrils as an option. They're actually very, very thin as well, the actual cable width itself. If you actually look at this other view again, this view, upside down view, it's all right, we'll fix it. If you look at this view, you can actually see the thickness. I don't know if it's actually easy to see that from a distance, but you can see the thickness difference. If I zoom in a little bit. I don't know if it's going to let me. Now it wants me to go that way. There's one thing I don't like about these cameras, and that is that you got to fart around with them. Okay, here we go. So you can actually see now there's the physical thickness difference between the two. This, oh God, I can't even remember what they are. The tendrils are, I'm going to say, I did measure them, 2.4 millimeters thick as a cable, and the Hoser, I did the Hosers, didn't I? Did I do a Hoser? I didn't Erica synth. Hosers, where are we? Hosers are 3.38 millimeters thick. So that thickness kind of does get in your way with your eyesight and being able to see things. So that thinness does help. So that's kind of the next thing to getting at a reasonable sort of managed thing. All right, how are we going with questions? Sorry if I've been ignoring you guys. Let me just go back to here so I can see if anyone's been screaming at me. How much do the patch leads cost? Well, we'll talk about patch leads costing in a minute because I'm going to talk about managing patch leads as well. Yeah. Look, if you want to get rid of a bit of dust, you can see there's a bit of dust on some of your modules. You can get a paintbrush and just, you know, dust it that way, just with a paintbrush. Just get in there and get rid of your dust. I'm not even really doing it properly, but I don't want to lose anything. But if you get dust on your modules, paintbrushes, or I use a shaving brush with the soft hairs and a shaving brush. So not really to do with managing the mess. Oh, I guess dust is a mess, isn't it? Yeah, it's probably a good point. Let's go with that. Tendrils, I bought them in Australia actually from a company called Found Sound. If you're an Australian watching the show, you guys will know who Found Sound is. And they cost me, for a pack of 6, $16.50 Australian. So halve that for pounds. So it's about £8 or £9 for a pack. I don't know what they cost in your local, what do you call it, place of purchase in the UK or the US, but you can get them everywhere now. Everyone's got them. Probably my two favourite cables, I think someone mentioned it in the chat too, would be tip-top, because I like the stack cables. If you guys want to give me a sec, I'll show you a stack cable. So there should be a stack cable just there. Yeah, I'm going to use my pointer more. These stack cables. These are pretty good as well. They don't sit too high either. And the other benefit of them is you can passively join them together. So that's pretty good. A little bit pricey. I do have quite a few of those, but I use them sparingly because obviously the point of using them is actually to join other things with it. I can't remember how much they are. I thought they were more expensive than tendrils. If the price of cables is something that kind of eats at you, then you know, you're probably not going to be able to do this sort of stuff yet. You'll probably have to put up with the mess at first, and then you'll start working out, you know, with your cables and stuff, what you want to do. Now, the next thing I would probably suggest, while we're talking about cables, is, let's go to me for a sec. So we talked about all the different sizes of cables, right? One of the things you will probably want to do is, I haven't had a chance to do this myself because of cost, money, that sort of stuff. In probably a beautiful world where money is no object, one of the things you could do is you could color code your cables to their length. So that way visually you can just grab, say, black is 60 centimeters and yellow is 10 centimeters and red is 30 centimeters. You know what I mean? Like you could do that. So you could color code your cables to length. That might be a nice way for you to manage your you know, if you're sort of patching a lot. I don't think I need to go to that sort of level. I mean, I pretty much just I'll have. You can probably see a whole bunch of cables just sitting here. I've ordered one of those. They're kind of like a flat thing that you screw into the side of your desk, and they've got little fingers that you can hang your cables down from. The one I've got is made by Erica Synths. You can get two different sizes from them. You can get a 10 bay 200 mil or a 300 mil. And it was like 30 pounds. Probably make it yourself if you've got a metal workshop or a wood workshop. I just felt it was perfect. So hanging them in some sort of reasonable, useful order is handy, and that way you don't really need to do the visual thing. That could be something that's beneficial to you. What I find though is I kind of find that if you're doing if you're kind of doing patch management and cable management, I kind of feel that the best thing to do is to really, I wouldn't worry too much about color. Personally, I just think we should just go straight for maybe the function. All right. And if you've got plenty of colors, you might want to do colors for some reason, like it might be a specific patch that's making a certain sound. You might want to route colors for that. For me, it's more to do with length and function, color. I don't know. I think color's starting to become a point where you're sort of throwing money away just to be a little bit too OCD. I don't know, not sure. But anyway, I believe you guys in the UK have been having some nasty storms, so hope everyone's okay over there. I've been reading it. Hopefully the power's on where you are. If it's not, you're probably watching it on your phone, I guess. Some people, we're talking about colors, right? Some people really don't like colors and they just want to have black or gray or white. Great, go for it. This is kind of a personal taste. I think I'm not really, I'll be honest with you guys, I kind of don't really care about color. But in this particular case up the top here, you can see I've used blue for those patches there. I don't know why, I just did. I kind of feel that it's not really that important to me, but it might be to you. You might find that color looks better than, or black and white looks better, or gray. One of the things I noticed with the tendrils though, the color options were limited. I mean, there was probably about 16 different colors. I believe there was only black or white and the rest were actually colors. So I don't think they had a gray, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. That was just through my store here that I found. Right. So we've talked about tendrils. We've talked about colors and patch cables. Now that I've got my eyes back on chat again, just did anyone make a comment? We'll just go back to that point I made before where I was showing the mess. That's the mess that I had from the last previous weeks compared to what you saw now. So let us know if you feel that I've improved it. And be honest, if you don't think it's improved at all, you just can't stand Eurorack, that's fine. But do you feel that has improved? Or that has improved? Yeah, let us know. Let us know your thoughts. Ken saying the UK had a big windstorm. I just had a blizzard blow through here in the New York upstate. Okay, cool. And it's kind of like the struggle of the end of the changing of seasons. No gas sausages. Oh yes, that's a really good segue. Gas sausages, that's a good one. Definite improvement, says Sinister. Okay, cool. What we're going to do, so Robbie's just said, I'm just reading the chat here. What did he say? Regarding cable colors, I wonder how colorblind people cope. Well, guess what? I'm actually slightly colorblind. So I can see, you know, red, green, blue, all that sort of stuff, but sometimes I get them mixed up. So it's not kind of perfect. So yeah, that probably might be why I don't really care too much about colors. Maybe don't see them as bright as you guys. Who knows? Actually, no one really would be able to tell. Okay, comfortability for patching. There's a good point made by Eddie there. So when you're patching these tendrils, they actually are really just easy. You know, you just put your finger on top to actually click it in, and to pull it out, it's just the same as pulling out any cable. So it's really, I don't find it an issue at all, and they just click in just like that. I actually find that nice, and then you can angle it away. I kind of feel they're my favorite cable right now. So, and I mean, look, Div Kid Ben has been using them for ages, and I've been watching him using them, thinking to myself, why don't I just get some of those? Yeah, one of the problems with doing, as Human Error mentions, he likes having mess because it makes it look like he knows what I'm doing. That's what I said about that. That was my excuse last week. One of the things when you do sort of run this stuff, and you probably think to yourself, you know, you're going to go to a lot of trouble needing this sort of stuff up, and you don't really want to have to keep something permanent. That's one of the reasons why I went with those open-ended little cable holders there. So now I can just pop them out. So that can just really easy pop out, just like that. And if I need to move that cable, I can move it, or I can just pop it back in again. It's really not hard at all. You just kind of, it's hard for me doing it because I'm doing it with one hand. 2 hands, open it up, pop it in, there we go. So that works okay. You'll notice that I've got some Velcro around here. So they're for the more permanent things that I want to set up. And I do have Velcro on a couple of the areas. I do recommend, that was the other thing I was going to say, I was going to recommend Velcro. I do recommend Velcro when you've got, you know, this sort of stuff here, where you know that's going to be more of a permanent thing. Velcro is not too bad to undo if you do need to undo it and move it. So in this case, these are my effects units. They're pretty much going to stay here. And I'm going to kind of give you guys a bit of a tour in a sec about this, but yeah. Velcro is useful, but small, not big, chunky Velcro. I've kind of used a bit chunky, too chunky, I think. I'll kind of go with the thinner. Yeah. Brett's saying he loves the one orange short cable in one end. Yeah, so you can get, I believe you can get tendrils with a standard plug on one end, like a vertical plug, and a right angle plug on the other. So that is one option for you as well. Ken's saying he's colorblind as well. Well, it's, you know, it's a cool thing. The thing that bugs him are LED colors, because he probably can't see them. Yeah, I have trouble sometimes with it, but generally speaking, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty good. Okay, so what was going to show you next? Okay, so more to do with the kind of mess management. Okay, so this is we're going to move away from cables for a sec, and I'm going to talk about module management, which is actually really, really important. Now, let me just get, we go here. This is a good view here. Right, there's not much patching going on in that rack at the moment. Okay, I do want to kind of digress in a sec and talk about something that I've just recently done, but we can do that in a sec. Let me just grab this up. Now, if you guys have lived under a rock and you don't have anything that you know about Eurorack, you're about to learn something, and for those who are very well rehearsed in Eurorack, you will know about this site. It's called Modular Grid. I do recommend that you get yourself an account for Modular Grid, because a couple of things this site does that's going to help you manage your cases, your skiffs, or even your big wall displays or whatever you've got, right? One of the things is you can load all your modules in here, okay? And that's going to be handy. So as you browse through the all module section, you can actually add it to your collection here. And then as you build it, it'll end up in here. In fact, I am actually going to add one today because I don't know if it is there or not. So let's go to DSO 150. Let's see if it's in there. No, let's see if that is in there. No, it's probably not in there. It is Plum in here. Plum Audio's in here. And I don't know if he's got it in here or not, but let's check anyway. Here it is. Oh no, that's Wave Painter. There it is there. Why did DSO 150 not come up? Anyway, I've actually just finished building this. This was a DIY kit. I'll show you guys in a sec. So let's add that to my modules. So I've done that. And if I go click on my modules now, there it is there. Can reset that. Sort it alphabetical. And then DSO 150 showing up in my modules. Okay, beautiful. So that's the first thing. So grab all your modules, chuck them all in here, and then the next thing is you'll be able to actually set up your own cases. And in this case, we were just looking at, this hasn't been updated at all. I'm not going to update it today in front of you guys. I have updated the two Arturia rack brutes. So they're now completely up to date. Now, why this is important, so let's go to the rack brute view here. Okay, there it is there in real life, and there it is there on modular grid. Why it's important, number one is you can see if modules will fit in your case. Number two, it tells you down the bottom here, with quite good authority, I'd say, that you have exceeded or not exceeded your power consumption that the actual power of your skiff can handle. In this particular case, it's pretty good, so we are okay to go. And I find that actually and you can share it with your friends as well, you just give them the URL. So that, in terms of organizing yourself, that would probably be the first thing I would go and do. Now, the second thing is really probably up to your own taste, I would say. This is just how I've done it, and I'm just going to sort of, maybe this might be for you guys, I'm not sure. But I'm just going to go through why I've set the modules up this way. Now this is my, I've called this my glitch skiff. Now what this really is a mixture of effects and glitchy type sound generators. And also it's got the variegate and voltage block sequencer up here. I'll go back to my pointer. Right. So one of the things that I needed to do as a change from last week to this week was I needed to put in the bottom right hand corner the FH2 Factum, which is by Expert Sleepers. It's a MIDI to CV module, and also does CV to MIDI as well. That's actually a really, really cool module. And I can actually send and receive MIDI through my DAW with this. The reason why that's important, you probably noticed on the bottom right hand corner I've got an orange and black cable plugged in, and that's going into Pamela's new workout. That means that I can start and stop PAMs from Ableton. And so I don't have to, I can unplug it, I can disable it, whatever, but that's why I like it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to move from bottom right, sorry, and we'll go across the bottom right and I'll talk about it. So what is PAMs? Pamela's new workout, if you're new here and you don't really know what that is, it's basically a clock and a gate with a whole bunch of functions around clocking and gating and CV. And it's a standalone module in its own right. You don't have to feed it MIDI CV like I have. It's really stable clock, and I thoroughly recommend it. If you're looking for a clock generator for your skiff, I would start with that. ALM, Busy Circuits, do a good job of that. Next to it, I've got a Dope clock divider module. Now this can clock divide as well. So you've got 8 outputs on this, but I just wanted to have a clock divider next to it that does it automatically. And I like the way it's an A160-2, if you're wondering the model of that. I like the way this does the clock divisions. It's got a few options on it. At the moment, I'm just using one, but that's okay. We'll talk about depth of modules another time. Next to it is my illustrious spring reverb. And if you guys want to hear that, we can do some spring reverb, I guess. What can I put through spring reverb? I don't know what I can put. I can put rings through it, can't I? Let's just... There we go. And just to prove that it's actually a real spring reverb, I just smashed it with the pen. I love it. I love the old-fashioned stuff. It's got a really, really different sound than what a standard reverb, a digital reverb will have. So I find that you put old analog synths through this, it just brings you back down memory lane. So yeah, get yourself a spring reverb if you can. One of the things you'll notice that is you can see that there's a RCA cable just hanging out of the gap. That's why I've got a gap there. I probably could drill a hole in the side of my case, but I don't have a 1U module, so that's okay. It's really quite subtle. It's just hanging out there. The spring reverb tank is literally just below. You won't be able to see it, but it's actually just behind here. It's in there. It's a good spot for it too, because there's actually room. Okay, what I might do is I'll just quickly finish off this this case quickly, and then we'll talk about who's jumped into the show, because I've had Mr. Brooks turn up. Next module is the fabulous Behringer 172. This is a phaser, an analog delay, and it's also got a few other features on it, like an LFO and a gate delay, but I don't use those as much. The phaser I do use, I'm not using it at the moment though. And the analog delay I love. The analog delay creates this really cool, fast delay effect, and it just really kind of, I actually had it running on that that rings thing that I had before. I'll turn off the spring reverb. You guys can listen to this with. So it's this very subtle doubling up. So I've got a ping pong delay happening as well on that. Anyway, that is a great little. That's a great module for it's, you know, bang for buck. There's two major effects in there that you can pull out. They're both analog. They both use bucket brigade delays. Next to it is the Dystopia. I mainly just use this for bit crush. I actually really like the bit crusher on this. I probably should just get myself like a Pico or a 2HP bit crusher, because this really does take up a lot of room. I don't know if you guys noticed, but the new version of this doesn't have the LEDs on it, and a lot of people like the fact that it doesn't. These LEDs are so bright. So yeah, the new version is probably better in that sense. Next to that is one of my newer editions, FX8. I absolutely love this module. I was talking to Brooksy about this during the week. This is a really, really super cool module. I've just got the standard one, not the XL. I don't think I need the XL features. Probably famous last words, but at the moment this is doing black hole or clouds. I think it's black hole. It's got a very, very good reverb bunch of algorithms in there. You can actually upload algorithms to it as well. Next to that is the illustrious Magneto, which is basically a tape, four-head tape delay. This thing is insane. I'm using it at the moment as a kind of pseudo tape ping pong effect. I love it. It's so good. It's so realistic. It's digital though. Up top here is the Basimilus Iteratus. This is the original one. There's a new one out which is called the Alter. It's got more, it's a slightly different layout, and it's got a couple of more features in it. But people have said that they sound different. So I don't know whether they've used different chips or different digital stuff in it. But anyway, I absolutely love this thing. This can do things from FME sounds to bit crushy sounds to bass lines. And it's super, super cool, morphing and different attack and different transients it's got with it. So cool, fun to play with. Next to that is the Erica Synth Pico Drum 2. Not using it at the moment, but it's like a digital virtual analog drum machine. It actually generates the sound, so it can do some cool things. I think it's a little bit limited, probably might pull that out. I do like the new one next to it though, the drums module. It's got two sampled drums in there. You can upload your own samples to it as well. I'm using it for hats and kick at the moment. Next to that is Ranzee, which is my rings module. It's just a rings clone. The guy that made it thought he'd put Ranzee on it, and I thought that was nice. Next to that is the Juno 106 Chorus. It's a stereo module, and it's true to type. It's actually got the proper MN 3009 chip in it. and then you've got the voltage block and the variegate. Those two work together. Voltage block is basically a pitch or modulation sequencer, okay? So think of those sliders as voltage up and down. So it's either going to control pitch or it's going to controls, you know, voltage in some sort of way, and it's stepped. And then the variegate is a gate sequencer with a whole bunch of huge amount of mucking around with this. Is so cool, but it also has two CV channels in it as well, so you can actually pipe out the two channels. What I've done is on the right hand side, far right hand side, I've got the IntelliGel buffered mult, and I've actually got the two CV channels going into the buffered mult, which means that those two CV channels can now split up into 6 or 2 lots of 3 with the same output. So yeah, go. This is just a real quick overview of that. Now, I've got a couple of guys who have just turned up, so we probably should say hello. How are we going for time? 9? Okay, yep, cool, we're good. We'll go and say hello to you, Brooksy, first. How are you, mate? Good to see you.
Can you hear me? Is that coming through?
Yeah, can hear you.
Oh, right. Lovely. Right, there we are. Yeah, sorry, I'm really snotty. So I apologise for that if you hear lots of sniffling and sneezing. It's me just being sniffling and sneezing. Just for sentient, me peanut what's it, which you gave a big question mark over the other day when we were talking at Kent's. Massive bag. They're lovely, really nice. It's very Moorish, so I'm chomping away on those right now. Yeah, yeah. I don't.
Sorry, I was just laughing at Ken's comment. Professor Ranzee likes his stick. Yeah, it's better than my fat fingers.
Yeah, well, we liked the stick. It was very. Slide number 3, please, assistant.
It's actually got a little chip out at the end of it. Okay, cool. And Andy, have you got your mic running?
Oh, it's the other one. Yep. Oh, he seems preoccupied.
No, it's not working yet. Okay, that's fine. That is fine. I'll just make sure Darren is going to end up in that top right-hand corner. I just want to double check this quickly. Yep, he will. Good. Beautiful. All right, so you know that we've got Andy Synth Addict. We'll call him Andy, and we'll call Andy Brooksy, just to make it easier, because when we've got the 2 Andys on the show, I think it just makes it easier. All right. What I want to do is, so what I've done for you guys who has just joined us is I've done, in the early show, I've gone and talked about methods of cleaning up the mess in terms of modular. So I've already gone and talked about it. I'll briefly do a quick overview again after the main show. So we'll go and revisit these topics, and then we can actually have it as a discussion, because at that particular point, it was just me monologuing to the chatties, really. I do need a lab coat. I've got my little bendy. I've actually got another one here that I can use to scratch my back with. There's another one somewhere around the house too that's got a little magnet on the end. You can pick screws and stuff up with it.
I've got one of those too.
That's before I forget. We were talking about these little plastic cable tie holder things before, right? Someone mentioned before that they might not be the right size or something or other. So I'm going to show you guys. One of the solutions was obviously AliExpress and places like that. You might even be able to get them a bit smaller. One of the solutions I came up with though is just with a bit of super glue, you can get yourself a packet of. So these are the little cable things I was talking about. And you can get yourself a washer. Right, it doesn't have to be metal. I've just got these metal ones lying around. And you just super glue, I won't lose it in my module, but I'll just put it next to it so you guys can see. So you can actually just super glue that washer to the plastic next to it. Yeah, that's working, Andy. Sorry, and that will close that hole up. And it's like, we're just talking about literally a few cents to do this sort of stuff. So yeah, it's you know, you're not going to be making many of these. I've only got 5 in my rack, and I bought a box of 10 of those cable holders, and I thought, oh, I'll run out of those. I should have bought a box of 100. Nah, haven't even got close. So just the you know, everyday super glue does the job. Okay, so that solves that. If you've got smaller screw holes, cool. Darren's turned up. Hello, Darren.
Good day.
Cool. Now let's do audio checks, guys, because I was not always watch my shows back, but I did watch a little bit of the show back last week to get the timings of everything right. And I noticed the audio was a bit low on a couple of you. I'm actually quite loud, aren't I, compared to everyone? Actually, the chatties are the best to ask about this sort of stuff. Let us know with the audios. We'll start with Darren.
1 2 1 2 check check.
Yeah, I think yours is fine. Then we'll go with Brooksy. No, muted.
That's how clear it is.
Fortunately, that expletive was muted then as well. So, hello everybody, are we all well? Is this working all right? Is this level satisfactory for everyone? Doesn't seem to be bouncing much on mine.
Yeah, it looks okay
My
here.
desk up there.
Yeah, it looks okay here.
Okay, that's coming through, is it? All right,
Yep.
good.
And we'll do Andy now.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
Okay, you could come up a little bit.
Andy was talking very quietly there.
How about that? Is that better?
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
Darren, okay, so JP page 2 says Darren needs to come out. Darren, just do a sentence for us.
1 2. How do you do?
Yeah, you can come up a bit your end. I'm actually maxed out this end. Try again.
Ow. 1 2 1 2 1 2. I mean, is that better? 1 2
Yeah, I think that's better.
3 4. I'm not whispering.
All good, says Eddie. And if Eddie says it's all good, it's all good. I don't really know what the hell I'm talking about sometimes. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. Okay, someone said to me before, what about the bottom rack? What about the bottom rack? With all the tendrils. Maybe this other camera angle. I wonder if the GoPro's turned off. Yep. Why does it keep turning off, guys? Does anyone know why it keeps turning off?
To save
It doesn't want to be
save the rainforests.
Yeah,
It's
I don't think
stupid.
I'd even go for too long unless your battery's fully charged, but even then it's still short.
Okay,
It's like the camera Gaz used to use that would turn off in the midstream.
we'll do it. We'll do it this way.
It was
Okay,
his,
I can use my pointer
his
again.
M50, wasn't it?
So guys, we're going to quickly just do a run through what's here. Bottom back right-hand corner is the Expert Sleepers ES8. This is an audio interface. So at the moment, I'm using it as ADAT. As you guys may know, follow me. I'm using Lightpipe for most of my connections with the RME DigiFace as my main audio interface. Next to it is the Roland 531, which is a System 500 6-channel mixer. Yes, it's actually really, really good value for money, this mixer. Why? Because it actually has 6 channels. Actually, it has more than 6 channels. We'll talk about that in a sec. But every single channel, you can actually control the panning with CV. And it's a bit hard to see from that angle, but each of those little CV connections across there where I'm pointing. It has both 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch outputs. It has headphone outputs, and it also has a line level or mic level input. Now that will either override 5 and 6, or if 5 and 6 is connected, it won't, depending on how you set it up. So technically it's still a 6-channel mixer, but it has that mic input, which is kind of handy. I haven't used it yet for the mic yet, but probably will one day. Next to it is the Mix BX by Feedback Modules. This is based on an old Boss BX8 mixer from the 90s. This is a great mixer. It's 6-channel, plus it's got 2 stereo returns and 2 sends. Each channel has its own preamp, and it also has a high and a low EQ. And you can really overdrive this too, so you probably don't even need feedback. We also have, next to it, my VCA matrix. This doesn't exist anywhere in the world. This is actually a prototype. So the nearest thing to that would be 4MS VCA matrix. And then we'll go down to the bottom. We've got the System 500 module. So there's the dual oscillator, dual filter, dual VCA, dual EQ and LFO. And then on the far right-hand bottom corner here is the kind of utilities modules. Lag, which is portamento, sample and hold. It's got noise. It's got ring mod. It's got two. I think it's got two portamentos too. So similar to the Behringer one, but different again. So that's what this is down here. It's because someone asked, so I thought I'd show you guys. Cool. Now, last thing before we go into the main show, what have we got? 15 minutes. Cool, beautiful. I want to show you guys what I've been up to this week, and that is this. No, wrong camera. Sorry, you guys can't see it. Don't worry. I was talking about it when we were talking about the modular grid. I have actually built this module. This is actually a, you can buy this through Pusherman. So this is a Plum Audio module. And what this is, inside that Eurorate module, if you like, is actually a off the boat from China DSO 150. They're kind of like little kit oscilloscopes that you can buy. They're very, very cheap. But they're actually really, really cool. And this guy, Plum Audio guy, he's modified it so that you can actually put it into Eurorack. And in fact, I've got a triangle wave going through it at the moment. Actually, no, it's a sawtooth, isn't it?
Sawtooth.
There is the triangle there. Sorry, it was a bad angle that I was looking at. There's the triangle there. This is coming out of a Behringer module, and there should be a square. There you go. So, and you can control it just like any oscilloscope. Now, there is actually an extension, which I've got, and I just haven't built it yet, where it adds another, it adds another 3 more inputs to it. So you can actually have 4 inputs to this. So you can actually display on the screen 4 different waveforms. Kind of similar to the Mordax data, except this is a lot cheaper. And when you do I'll grab the little thing, and there's nothing really to see. It's just kind of like a 2 HP extender that will sit to the right of it. Adds for 3. It's got 3 more sockets on there. But what that does, there's actually a custom firmware that you put on the Chinese DSO 150 oscilloscope, and it actually enables it to be a 4 input thing. And all those buttons and switches and everything work. What really scared me about doing this over the last day or so was it involved SMD soldering, and I had to use my camera, which is over that back corner there. I've got like you guys have seen it, I've shown it before on the show, like a microscope camera. And there's no way in the world I would be able to have done that build if I didn't have that microscope camera. I do have like a magnifying glass, which has got a light on it and everything. It just isn't, I just don't think it's strong enough. I could have bought a more stronger one, but the camera is amazing. It's like everything in close up. And then you just put your pliers in there, tiny little nose pliers, and your soldering iron, and you just have to be very, like a surgeon, you're very, very careful. Not wiggling around too much. I actually was quite surprised. I thought being an old 50-year-old fart, I'd have really shaky hands, and it would just be a nightmare. But actually, it wasn't too bad. With the tweezers and the pliers and everything, it was fine. I actually, believe it or not, I surprised myself. I haven't done much SMD's work in my life. I kind of tend to shy away from it because I don't really enjoy it. I much prefer through-hole soldering, if I must admit. The thing about that project is the DSO kit that you buy off eBay, which is only, what, £20 or something. It's so cheap. It comes as a kit. All of that's through hole. There's no, all the SMD stuff's all been pre-soldered for you, so you don't have to do any SMD soldering. But the Plum Audio part of that project, what that actually does is it makes that module able to connect to a Eurorack power source. It converts to power, all of that part of it. that's all SMD, and yeah, that was really quite tricky. So yeah, it's good. I had a bit of a play with it today with the little controls, and that works fine. And it's a decent sized display. Let me just go back to that sort of wider view of the Behringer Go case. So there's the wide view of the Behringer. They're quite a big wide case. You can see that size of the screen. It's actually really good. Can you see the brains over to the right? So it's got a tiny screen. I actually kind of find that screen really nice. So if you're sort of sitting back from a distance, you can actually see your waveforms quite well. Very, very handy. You can see envelopes, everything in there. I've got the little Quadigy next to it. I was playing around with that, and the maths on the other side. So I was trying them all out. What do you guys think of that? Who's muted?
Yep, it's like the Modex, isn't it?
It's like the Modex data.
A lot cheaper.
Yeah. Yes, I don't know if Kent is in the chat room. I was probably interested to see what he was going to say about SMD soldering. He probably wouldn't have a lot of that though, would he? With the stuff he does, it's more, he's probably got the older stuff, which is much, much fine.
Should you say that thing was? That's like the Mordax?
I was going to show you guys on the Mac. I actually do have the page up. Just give me a sec, I'll get it back up again for you guys.
Because the Mordax, I never got one because they always ran out. So I just got the O'Toole instead.
Yeah, the O'Toole's smaller. It's kind of similar to that though. Give me a sec, I'm just getting this up. This is a, I will warn you, this is quite a, it's probably not a beginner project if you wanted to get yourself one of these. By the way, I'm just waiting for the page to load if you're wondering. It's taking forever. When it loads, I'll let you know. Weird. Hope the internet's working. It shows it's not going to go too well if the internet's not working. Waiting for Google. Interesting.
It's still working, according to I can see everything going on.
Let me just refresh it, see if that helps.
Your audio had cut out a while ago when I was listening, but it's okay now.
I can't get that page up. What I'll do is, oh no, here we go. Just as I said it, it's loading now. Wow, slow loading. Okay. £15.99 for the PCB and the panel, and then you go into like a GitHub site, Andy, and you load the BOM, the build of materials. You have to go buy it from Mauser or Thonk, or I think there's a bit of Thonk and a bit of Mauser stuff. And you also have to buy the DSO 150 from eBay as well. So all up, you're probably, I don't know, less than 100. You can buy it.
I think that's not. That's not on mine and Andy's to-do list, is it, Andy?
You can buy it pre-made for 150 US.
Not mine.
I don't know who sells them at the moment, but you can buy it pre-made for 150 US. That's all the kit gives you. It gives you the faceplate, and it gives you that Eurorack power conversion module, which is the SMD soldering, a whole bunch of SMD on that. It's crazy. And then you also
side name, it is a drug, so
yeah. Then you also have to buy the DSO 150 as well. There's a link to Banggood, which gives him a cut, I think, but you can get it from Banggood, or you can get it from AliExpress, or you can get it from, I got mine from eBay, and it was like $20. And there's quite a bit in that thing that you don't actually use. So yeah, that 150 fully made is still cheaper than the Mordax data. Don't forget though, the Mordax data is way, way more than just an oscilloscope. It's got a whole bunch of functions in it. And I probably still will get a Mordax data purely because there's a few things in it that I want to kind of, won't go into today, but yeah, there's a few things in it that I want to use it for. But yeah,
because no serious Eurorack case is complete without one. And that seems to be what happens when you look at all these videos and there's a Mordax data everywhere. Everyone's got one showing nice, pretty waveforms. and I don't understand it myself, but that's just me.
It's a great teaching tool. I
It's
think
for
that's the
people
main
like
reason
me,
I have
Andy.
it.
It probably is, actually. It probably is, to be honest. I mean, I've often wondered, do you really need one of these? And probably, I suppose it's one of those things that when you have got one and you stick it in your rack, you probably go, oh, I see, right, right, that's how it works. I've had a lot of that this week.
Yeah.
I got tired of hooking up my proper oscilloscope, so I got the O-Tool Plus instead. So.
Yeah.
I just want to show you guys the expansion module that I was talking about. So that's the faceplate that you get with it. And then obviously that's the PCB that goes underneath it. There's a whole bunch of soldering and stuff and builder materials and things like that. But it does give you 3 more inputs. So you got input on the front of the one bottom left already, and there's another 3, so it gives you a total of 4. And I think there's an LED that goes through there. So I mean that's only like 2 HP, I think, isn't it? That could be 2 HP. I don't think it's 3 HP. So yeah, I'm not really looking forward to going back and doing more soldering for a while, but I'll probably order those bits and pieces, and I do like the idea of having 4. One of the things I just wrap this up with this module. One of the things that I wanted to make sure it does before raving about it or anything like that, before showing you guys, was the in and out on the bottom left. I wanted to make sure it didn't actually add any noise to the signal. It's actually clean. So that's really, really important. And part of that, I think, is because of the Plum Audio's, you see that circuit board on the right there, that actually has got quite a lot of nice power filtering and capacitors and things in there. So I'd say it's a lot to do with that. So yeah, very clean, very clean. Right, questions?
Why is it so wet here and windy?
Change of seasons, isn't it?
Because it's the north of England in the winter.
I'll tell you, we
And
need
you
some
live
of
in
your
Manchester,
water,
Darren. You live in the wettest place in the entire world.
Yeah, but it's not actually true, though, is it?
It's not as wet as Seattle. I think Seattle would be wetter, wouldn't it?
Seattle's rough.
I like Seattle, though.
I think North Wales is wetter.
They're probably still asleep in Seattle.
North Wales,
Yeah.
the Lake District.
The reason there's so many
Brighton.
coffee houses there, and they're addicted to coffee because it's miserable there.
They've got these beautiful
That's why
houses.
grunge came out of there too.
This is what I like about Seattle. They've got these absolutely, like,
That's not the sun
freaking billionaire houses all across the, like, there's a mountain range that looks over the bay and everything that's there, and looks over the city and that. And they've got these amazing houses, but three out of the, I don't know. There's so many days of the week you can't see anything out of your window because it's all foggy. Anyway, that's fine. They have nice days. Just kidding.
There are a lot of wacky artists living there too. There's outdoor art exhibits everywhere. So
Yeah. See, what Seattle needs to be in where I live. You'd have the beautiful weather, and then at the same time you'd have the beautiful views as well. Why do you hide?
Perth, Australia, then.
Why do I hide my cup under
Except
my
they've got
desk?
letters in.
Oh, no. I don't hide it under my desk because it's not beer. I hide it under my desk because if I accidentally knock it over, it's just going to spill out on the floor. I don't like to have fluids up around electronic equipment. That's why I hide my cup under my desk. It's not really hidden, it's just down there.
Very wise.
you know
I
those
know.
beer helmets that they have at parties. So.
Water bottle is down here too. But yeah, I think I've knocked it over once or twice on the floor. You just think, oops, you need to get over it because it's just water. By the way, though, if I don't drink water here, you literally within 12 hours, no more than easily under 24 hours, you'll dehydrate because it's that hot here. So you must drink at least 2 litres of water a day. Otherwise you dehydrate, especially as people at my age. It's terrible. Right, we are going to hit this button. I think it's this one. Managing the mess, here we go. Welcome to another Saturday. It's in the middle of the show, but this is actually in the main show. So if you just joined us, because I do advertise 2 p.m. UK time, that's right now. And a big hello to you if you've just joined us. But there's been a heap of people that have been here already. And you know what they've been doing? They've been watching us noodle around and talking about stuff about God knows what. It actually changes every week. But this week we're talking about managing the mess. The mess? What mess? Well, the Eurorack mess. You know, I've been showing this view of what my modules look like connected for the last few months, and getting hammered by a few people, hey, Mr. Puricelli, about the mess. And I thought, you know what? It's time that I kind of show that I can be neat. And so we were talking about that earlier. But we're not going to talk about that right now. We will go back and revisit this topic and actually have the panel here and discussions about what we talked about earlier, so that we've got some nice discussion and conversation flowing through. But what we will do is our regular segments. And I can tell you that there's quite a lot happening this week with news. There's Funny Side. There's Name That Synth. We've got a new submission this week for Name That Synth, and you'll be very happy to see who that is. But I'll keep you in suspense for now. And we also have Price Watch, and Price Watch is interactive again this week. We've got the actual live eBay sites and Reverb sites up. We can check them out. So stay tuned. We've got a lot to get through. Hopefully everyone is settled in. They've got drinks. They've got everything. And we'll start off this week with a big hello from Mr. Andy Joyce, who's Synth Addict, all the way from sunny LA. No, not LA. San Fran. San Fran.
Bay Area. Yeah.
Bay Area. Yeah.
It is quite sunny, and as people were complaining earlier about the weather and the water, we actually need water here. So wish we'd actually get some rain so we don't have a drought.
No, you're droughting. No good.
Not yet, but I mean, we're always close to it. So.
No good. Anything new popped into your synth world over the last few weeks?
Actually, yeah, I picked up a Studio Logic Sledge Black yesterday, used. Really good deal. Thing's amazing. Also got a TB3 used.
Yeah.
In pristine condition, so it was cheap.
Wow.
Love that it has built-in effects and distortion and stuff. And battery powered too. It's the only one of those guys that's battery powered. You can take anywhere and do acid on the go.
Yeah.
What else did I get? Oh,
That sounds weird.
For D-beams. Hey.
Yay.
D-beams.
I was looking at one of those during the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think of that?
It's
Ooh,
well,
excuse me.
the funniest thing is it lives on a zip drive.
Yeah.
See the zip disk there?
Mm.
So I have plenty of them for other things, samplers and stuff, but it's just one of those things you have to worry about keeping in stock. So it's unless you do some crazy retrofit to it, you need to have a damn zip disk all the time.
Well, what's that new thing that Roland brought out just recently? It was kind of it was similar. It was based on that. So that was actually the precursor to it, and Roland made a new thing where it's kind of like an arranger and stuff, like a music arranger, full songs and stuff. Sorry, it's just slipped my mind.
You mean the one that's for vocals and stuff?
Yeah. The one that
rap?
The one that they just released like last year. It's based on that thing. That's actually what it's kind of like the second iteration to that, because that's kind of like what that thing does.
This is basically like an SP404, SP555, all that kind of series blown up into a fancier thing. It has the dual D-beam. It has a synth mode where you can play like a theremin thingy with the D-beam.
VerseLab. Yeah, VerseLab. That's it.
VerseLab, that's it.
Yeah.
Usual kind of stuff. You can use the D-beam for effects and all that. So
yeah, awesome. Wow, so you got some nice, cool stuff there. Beautiful.
Yeah, more toys.
More
toys. I needed more, right?
Go to Darren.
All right, go to Darren. Because Mr. Brooks is a bit snotty.
Oh,
How are you, Darren? How's your week been?
Not bad. Well, it's been very wet. Let's put it that way. Very wet. Very windy. So very wet, very windy. That's pretty much the weather side of it. For all those who are following me on Bandcamp, you've got a new album there you can all download if you want. It's a free one. Mm-hmm. It's just gone up today, so I think a lot of you might have already had the thing here. But if you're not following me on Bandcamp, well, get on there and then you can download a free album. It's all that meaningful trance and ambient and chill out, and it's just a collection of tracks. So if you all want to just listen to that and just chill, feel free. And the other thing was, someone mentioned where Rave Dave was. Well, I think Andy Synth Addict said that he wanted him to do an FFFS. So I think he might be working on that. That's why he's not here.
Oops.
That's live. That's not the one.
No, that's all right. I'm just trying to get to your Bandcamp thing, and it actually started playing.
Yeah, Furry Filter Sweep, FFS.
Yes, that's the one. Well, I think he's working on that. So that's where Rave Dave is today. He might pop through. I don't know. He might just see him pop through, but if not, that's what he'll be doing. Yeah, so it's free. It's all free, The Life We Live. So all you Bandcamp followers, you've got that if you want it. It's just I think there's about 10 tracks on there. Nice collection.
There's 10. Yeah. What we'll do is we'll keep that up, and we'll check that out a little bit later, I think.
The last track, by the way, is mainly all June 06.
Ooh, nice. Good. Fantastic. All right, Mr. Brooks, are you ready? Hello, Mr. Brooks. How's your week been?
Hello. I seem to be ready. My week's been all right. It's not ending so well. I feel bloody awful, Ranzee. Oh, crap. Anyway, I've had an okay week. I've been off school. It's been half term. I've been just messing about. I had business things to attend to, which seem to have gone well, and will hopefully have good outcomes in the future. I went round to Grace Griffins, who's in the chat. Went round there, and she taught me how to use my modular properly, even though she's never used it before. It was quite. Oh, can you do that with it? It was amazing. And actually, I'm really proud of myself. Actually, I'm going to do something now. Are you ready?
We're ready.
Hopefully this works. Tell me if this is coming through or not.
Yes. Beautiful.
Look at me, Daft. I managed to get a tune out of the MPC. Get that.
Wow. Well done. I actually like that. That was nice.
Yeah. For once, there's these. What I discovered, because I'm basically, as I told you, ultimately stupid, is the right at the very bottom of the screen. There's a little tiny thing which you need a microscope to see.
Yeah.
Which has got a plus and a minus.
Yes.
And the word track.
Yeah.
So I mean, why is that not more bleeding obvious? Why is it sort of tucked away in a place where you can't see it? Once I press that button, do I?
There's a bit of that.
It's very immediate.
I
don't think it's very immediate.
There's definitely a bit of that with the MPC.
Trying to get a sound. I mean, that was basically that was all the different plugins and one sample. But basically that was just. But I thought, yay! I finally got there. And like anything else, just like Inky said, once you start using it and start trying to make it do stuff, you find the way in which to do it. Although I have to say that it seems to me that doing things on it is always requires an extra step somehow. I still don't find it intuitive, but I'm going to keep bashing on. That's just a 4-bar pattern, and I'm just going to sort of. I think it sounds quite nice. It's got some nice little melodic modulations in it. No, I don't mean sort of twiddling me knobs modulation. I mean just sort of. Anyway, I'm just dribbling on. So anyway, thank you, folks. You've said nice things in the chat. So I shall play about with that one, see if I can make it into something worthwhile. Yeah.
And if you do finish anything before next week, send it through and we can play it on the show from this end, when it'll be nice and clear and sounds beautifully.
I've got a bet on, and I've still not really fulfilled anything. So I'm gonna have a bit of have to have an inky rush and get it all sort of sorted. So I'm supposed to have something up on Bandcamp by the end of February. So get your arse in gear.
Oh, you haven't got long. Yeah.
No, exactly. No, I've got
9 days.
Yeah,
8 days, 9 days.
Thanks.
Yeah. Wow. Fantastic. Well, it's good, everyone. It's good. We also have the chatties here, which I said hello to earlier. I've noticed a few other people have joined us. Just a quick addition to those. Addo Z, big hello to you. Big hello to, who else? Digital Nation, good to see. Jim, big hello to Jim. Jim was on the show a couple of weeks ago. And Pincho Paxton. Hello to Pincho Paxton. Good to see as well. So if I have forgotten to say your name, just throw your synth at the screen in disgust, because we can't have that. Right, beautiful. What we're going to do now is we're going to hit this button and start with the regular segments. Yay! Stranger things may happen when you come across these weird things called memes. And we'll start with this one because there should actually be one above this, actually. Juno 6 and then upgrade, then Juno 60, then upgrade, then Juno 106, then upgrade. Then, yeah, go back. Downgrade. Reverse grade. Retrograde. Nice one. Like that. That one's for Darren. I thought Darren would like that one.
We like that one.
Right. This is a classic painting, so there's no nudity. Everyone on Valentine's Day and me. Right.
Dear.
And the next one is when you are an absolute synth master, a synth lord. This is how you're going to perform.
That's me when I go live.
With the Polaroid camera.
With the,
So he's missing the plywood. I used to use plywood on mine. So.
the Volca sample, the white Volca sample with the white shoes. Beautiful. Starting a trend here, people. Right, what else we got? What happens when you're an engineer and a musician at the same time?
That's gorgeous.
Yeah, isn't that great?
It's not far from you, that Andy. That's Hollywood Bowl, the sign at the bottom.
Yeah, that's
there.
LA, isn't it?
You'll be
Yeah.
able to go and do yourself a big treble clef. Get lost in
I
the
wouldn't be
process.
surprised if they already had that there. It's crazy down there.
It is crazy down there. Yeah, even with all a number of lanes that they've got, they still manage to congest. It's bizarre. They just keep adding lanes. Nope, still going to congest. They have to come up with a different.
Well, now
solution.
we have that problem here. It used to be only down there, but up here it's awful now. So.
Yeah. What was your favourite meme this week in the chat and also in the video calls? You guys can sing out if you want.
Mine's got to be the first one.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that one. The Juno.
So I like the Volca on the stand because I've actually sort of contemplated very similar things, you know. And then when I was like with the Electribes, where am I going to put these? What am I going to do? You know, and like Andy said, you've got to do pieces of wood on X stands. Actually, it's not a bad solution to many a problem because this is over here.
Yeah.
I mean, solid. It's as solid as any table.
Yeah.
You know, and all it is an X stand with a piece of what do you call it? That
Wood?
hardboard stuff. Anyway, that's what it is. Thank you, Darren. Yeah,
MDF?
that's what I was looking for wood.
MDF.
That's it. MDF. PQRS.
just rattle out a couple of letters and they'll just nod
Yeah,
and smile.
I used to put 3 Electribes on a piece of plywood. So
Bert said his favourite was Valentine's. Sentient said Volca. Eddie said something. You guys can see with that, with the exclamation marks at the end. It's just popping up to the top of the year. Yes. So
Hi, money.
MIDI boob. MIDI boob. What is that?
I actually like that one with the twiddle. It reminded me of the new Audio Pills video.
Oh,
Have you seen that?
Don't know.
Use this guy?
Yes.
Oh, haven't seen
Yes.
that.
The
Just
beat
show.
thing.
One of those.
Hold it there.
Blimey.
Hold it there. Oh yeah, we were talking about that a few
Beat
weeks ago. Yeah, the beat thang.
It has pitch bend mod wheels on the side. It's really cool, actually.
Yeah. Built like an absolute tank, that thing, but they just never got
There's
the
a battery
firmware.
inside. That's part of it. It's heavy.
Never got the firmware right on it. that's what they went
But
wrong.
in his video, he twiddles the two and says, "Remind you of something." So yeah.
Oh, I get the reference now. I get it. Yes. Well, speaking of such, we should probably hit this segment because we've got a lot to cover. It's been busy. Yes, I know. I haven't changed the segment. I haven't changed the stinger. Sorry, I do apologise. But first off, we do have this wonderful thing called the, and the link's kind of gone off the side of the screen there, but anyway, it doesn't matter. We have this thing, and it's called the origami folder changer. I don't know why it's got that on there. Something weird's happened. Let me just see if I can sort that out. Weirdness is happening.
Have you shown those already, by the way? The U-Win stuff. Have you shown that already?
Just give me a sec. No, I haven't.
Okay.
And that should be working properly now. There we go. The Tronix Audio Origami. I don't know what happened there. It was kind of glitching out on the screen. Yeah, we should probably do something like going across to here and hitting play. So 2-channel resonance equalizer and wave folder, if you're wondering what it is. Oh, it's got some bottom end to that, hasn't it? For bass thickening. Oh, I do like that. Oh. So a bit of fun with this thing, I think. Yeah, so raw channel for raw input. It's got signal to EQ, folds channel, 2 pieces of EQ channels for Quake and bass and jet. You've got internal VCA for fold and raw, attenuator control for fold and CV strength, wave channel offset control for convolutions in the voltage level. And we're looking at 169 euro schmackaroons. Gentlemen, quick comment about this baby.
Sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds good. Every week you cost me more money, Ranz. Will you stop it?
It's not me, it's them. Don't blame me. Or blame me, I don't care. Let's have a quick look at the website. This, whereabouts are these guys? I think they were over in, I don't know, some other country and had to translate it into English. So there's probably some wacky translations happening here. It's a 10 HP module. If you are into wave folding and kind of EQ-y mangling, maybe a bit of overdrive, I kind of think this is kind of interesting. It's a sort of marriage of a couple of different things that I haven't seen before. And you can get it now. We should move on to the next if you guys are ready. Yep. Right. Yep. Next one. Here we go. Hitting this button. Hopefully it works. This one is by Marguerite, maybe. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. It's a Metro. It's, what is it? It's, well, let's start at 200 euros. It's a drum set kind of module. I do have a video, so maybe I'll show you the video and we can talk about what it is in a sec. Yeah, so there it is. That's the nice marketing video. There's the link of their website if you're interested in it. It is a kind of nice way of generating percussions. Okay, 13 HP Eurorack module, 11 algorithms, as I said, 3 bass drums, 2 snares, 2 toms, and 2 cymbals. It's got a synth generator with hand claps.
What does it sound like?
There's not really any more information about it. I don't know if there's actually any audio samples on their website. Let's go across to their website and have a look, see if there is. There's only that video that we played. Yeah, not really sure. Don't have any more. They did use that in the marketing. That there was definitely the sounds out of that thing in the marketing. But
because
yeah. Talk.
I was going to say, because obviously I've not been into the modular for a while, but that would get me back in. Quite like the look of that, and I like the design. If it sounds nice, I think that's one thing I'm missing in the modular is any sort of drum specific module. So, and it looks good as well. And I quite like it. That's not a bad thumbs up from me, which is unusual.
Would.
As long as it sounds good.
One thing I couldn't quite work out, and I'm not sure if it's my fault or the module's fault, is going back to the website, does it actually have individual outputs of the 4? And I kind of felt that it did. 1, 2, 3, and it had a sum. I kind of felt that it did, but yeah, I'm not really sure what the details of that is. Some really low-res pictures there as well, by the way. I did paste the link, Sensian, in the chat. Sorry if... I'll also paste a link to that other one, the Tronix audio too. Just a lot happening here. It's very hard for me to do everything, but there's the Tronix audio link in the chat. Beautiful. Cool. Right. Anyone else wanted to comment on the Metro?
Well, I was thinking similar things to Darren, except I've already got in my rack up there Euclidean circles and the VPME quad drum. So it seems like one module which combines both of those in probably less space. But hey.
But maybe not quite as...
Something else I was messing about with this week. The Euclidean circles finally sort of got something to work with that. Thanks, Grace, for the help with that, by the way. But yeah, it's a great little idea at 200 euros. Again, it's on that board where you go, can I justify this, or is it just another thing to get because I've got holes in my rack that need filling? Or,
yeah,
you know,
maybe not. It's not quite as intense as those modules are on their own. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it might be a bit light on because it's got all the other things that it's doing. And I thought the screen was a little small on it as well. Not a big fan of little screens.
That's not a problem. A pair of these, and then small screens. I've worked it out. Big magnifying glasses about this size. You can see small screens.
Cool.
It might look a bit daft though.
Oh, that's okay. We can. I mean, it's not much I can do about looking daft. That's my mum's fault. Anyway, so we should get moving on to the next thing. What about this thing? The SCAT stereo analog filter phaser. This kind of thing kind of piqued me. I'm a bit of a filter phaser aficionado, I guess you'd call it. Let's have a look at the video. It's a new analog filter that doesn't have a price to be confirmed. It's a rough concept. What you can see in the video is what they are considering putting into this thing.
sounds like they're putting Jean-Michel Jarre in it.
The actual audio in this is actually a prototype that they've worked on, so it is actually real. It's not like a, you know. But yeah, you've got a filter, and it's got phaser. Here we go, it's the phaser part. That could be why I liked it, because it was very Jean-Michel Jarre sounding, but this is their website.
wasn't it?
I am going to paste the link to the website right now because otherwise I'll get in trouble. Here we go. Bang! You guys can go check it out.
Yes,
so it is.
copyright strike.
So it is a prototype. This is the concept drawing that they're talking about. I reckon it looks really, really cool. I guess it's a guitar pedal, I'm guessing. So that's probably all we can say about that. But I kind of think this is a cool idea because, I'll tell you why. Because I use my Moog Fogas and those things take up a lot of space and I do love the sound of them and everything. But this thing sounded amazing and it actually has two things in one. It has a filter which I use all the time. So I don't know if you guys know, but I run my strike FET through a Moog Foga MF101 because I love the sound of that. And I also run my strike FET through the MF103 or 4, whatever the 12-stage phaser is that they have. This is kind of like both of those in one. Guys, thoughts?
Sounds great, doesn't it? It really does sound very, very nice. And of course, it depends how much they're asking. If they're asking £400 for it, the answer is no. But did it have a price? Have we said?
No, just TBC.
Again. All right. If it's
price comes in.
If it's in the what does affordable mean? But if it's in the affordable bracket, I could be very interested in that because
for us,
faces are just lovely, aren't they?
Mm.
Exactly. Yes.
I can't remember where I found that from. I can't remember where I got that actual information from. But anyway, it's fine. Anyone else want to make a quick comment about that one? Nope.
Actually, Paul Talbot says 12-stage phaser. Moog. Does it say how many stages that phaser has? Because it does make a difference in the lushness. I mean,
it just says how many poles it's got. So 162, 364. You'd have to understand how phasers works to understand that. It's to do with the phasing, filter phasing. But yeah, it is interesting. Let me see if I can find that information where I actually got that from. I'll find it later because we need to move on. If I need to bring it back up.
Like 6-stage.
It could be. There was some information on the video, so go check the video. I'll put the link in the video in now for you guys.
Cool.
Go watch the video. There was some information in the video about what the phaser. It actually has like little bits of information on it. Check that out. There's the link. Right, next is this one and next one. Yes, because we are talking about managing your mess. This thing came out during the week, which I thought was interesting, and that is the Uwin cable portal. What are these things? I think they're about $20, aren't they? If I remember, $10 US.
Yeah, $10 US. Yeah.
That link is not really working properly there, so let me chuck that link in the chat, and I will paste that in for you guys. This is more for the Iraqi people. I don't know, kind of after your thoughts. Like we talked earlier today about cleaning up cables and stuff like that. Would you like that big sort of orange cylinder thing hanging over the top of your modules? Like, I don't know. There were some other photos. Let me just grab the website and you'll see what I'm talking about. Here. See how it's kind of just hovering over? Interesting kind of concept. It does, I mean, it obviously comes in a whole bunch of different colors, and it even looks good at night. But yeah, that's kind of basically it. That link, by the way, does take you to the purchase page, so you guys can get one if you want. Thoughts on this cable organising?
I nearly bought 4. I actually thought it was a really good idea. I understood the concept immediately when Gaz was showing it. I thought, yeah, I like the idea of that. And went onto the page and then thought, well, it's 10 quid. Well, I thought, well, it's only going to be a small company. I can live with that. And then the postage was an extra $25 on top, and I just thought, that's keeping me over the edge now.
Yeah.
And I just thought, I shall wait a bit. And then I was sort of thinking, you could probably make your own with a tube and a hacksaw, if you can be bothered. But I thought it was a good idea. I really do think it's the sort of thing that I don't think they'd bother you, those things in the grand scheme of it. I mean, yourself, sometimes it's like you've got to do this to get at your bloody little tiny controls on these Eurorack modules. And actually having something which actually creates that bit more space, I thought it was a very sensible thing. I think I may well get.
I'm on the fence.
You're on the fence? Tell us why.
Yeah. Well, at first I thought, yes, they look all right. And obviously Andy said how much they were going to be, so that's a bit out the window. And then I just turned to look at my modular, and I thought, if your modular's vertical like that, is it just going to start sagging down when you've got that on it? I don't know. I can't make my mind up whether I do like them or not. It's not a bad idea for some people. I get that. I'm just not sure. I'm not 100% sure. I'd have to try one out and mess about it for a while, and then, I don't know. That's my opinion. It's a for me.
It is. It's a bit of definitely. What about this? Paul thinks my idea is way better. And then it's those cheap electronic store cable things that you can just snip the end off. Try it again if you like. If you're not sure what I'm talking about.
Show us again.
That baby there. The only thing that's bad about that is you can only fit probably 3 or 4 cables in there. That thing there, you can fit a ton of cables in there. But at the same time, that's going to block your view, isn't it, as well? So, yeah. Look, it's really up to you how you do it. Mine's probably very, very inexpensive. What did this box of 10 cost me? $1. You can get 100 for like $5. And I'm sure if I had the time, I could probably browse through AliExpress and find out some more information. If you guys are wondering though, the specs of these, I can actually show you. Because sometimes when you see stuff on camera, it doesn't actually show the real size of things, and I think that's not a bad idea. This is the company that I bought them from in Australia, but it actually tells you that they're a 5mm hole. That I can also tell you that it's 10mm across, and when you snip the end off, it's around about 10mm from hanging down.
Style-Lab music likes it anyway. He sent you.
Yeah. So that gives you an idea. Like I said, you can make the hole smaller by adding a washer to it, or you could probably try and source yourself a smaller version of it. I think the M3 screws are 3mm, so maybe try and see if you can find one that's 3mm. Like I said, the only thing I didn't like about that particular one that I got was I thought that they weren't fat enough. Sorry, I keep losing my spot. That one. Yes. I didn't think that part was fat enough to hold enough cables, so it was. But then again, that might be what you like. You might like it being slimline. So there you go. Cool. Anyway, I thought that actual last one, the U-Win cable portal, is topical for the show we're doing this week. That's why I put it on there. Can you guys refresh my memory? Where did we see that this week? Where did that? Was it Gaz Williams?
Yeah, Sonic State. Gaz showed it at Sonic State, and he did it on his own show.
That's right.
So
it was on his.
God full of peanut Watsons.
No, that's fine. I remember seeing it on Gaz's show. I just couldn't remember it was Gaz's show first or the Sonic State. Sorry, Andy. What were you going to say?
Oh, no worries. So a couple quick things. So Ken Flux Pierce actually did a thing last year on those little tabs, and they had them all over his modular, and it was pretty cool to route, small amounts of cables. And as you can tell, I clearly need a boatload of those kind of things.
Yeah.
But one thing I didn't like about the Gaz thing, I don't want to badmouth it because it's clever, But if you watch during his video where he demos it, the side channels where you feed the cables through was cool, but if you notice, he had to actually unplug those because the rip down the middle to pull them out with a little bit of friction. If you put them in that with longitudinally, that's fine. But if you put them across in the holes, yeah, now you have to unplug the cables to get them out of there, which was kind of weird because you can't put cuts all over the thing, right? Also, I mean, again, not to take any business away from them, you could cut a hula hoop up and make your own with that, you know.
Or a bit of hose or
version. Yeah, some kind of kid's toy, whatever, and it's a hell of a lot cheaper than that. The other thing I preferred, I sent you a link in the chat. It may have gone by now. I can repaste it. On Amazon, there's a clever thing I found. I bought them, but I haven't received them yet, called Night Eyes, Nite space IZE. And they have a series of these rubber twist ties that are short and chunky.
Yeah.
And you could quickly just go boom, 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 wrap down your cables and pull one or two out, rewrap them very quickly. And it keeps it nice and tidy. They can get different colors. You can have long ones, short ones, whatever. And they're cheap. It was like I think a pack of 10 was like a pack of 10 for $15 or something like that. I forgot.
Yeah. If you can find the link, we'll share it when you get a chance. Not right now, but when you get a chance.
I put in the chat. I can't put the link, but here's the.
You can send it to me though. You can send it to me.
Oh, Facebook? Yeah, that's true. I can do that.
Yeah. Send it to me and I'll share it in the chat.
Okay.
Easy. Sorry, I interrupted. Did you want to add anything else to that?
No, that was pretty much it. I mean, there are lots of weird things you can come up with out there walking through the hardware store, or store that you do like crafting and things like that. I always walk around and look for weird stuff that just pops out and it goes, hey, I could use that for that. You know, it's like when I was gonna buy a heavy duty tripod head for my video rig for a crane that I bought, and a tripod to hold it is way too expensive. It was like a $5,000 tripod. So I found I could take the caster wheels, take the two caster frames, and make an actual very strong pivot point by bolting those together. So you walk around the hardware store, you can find all kinds of clever things. Just, you know, it sparks your imagination.
Indeed.
Yep.
Indeed. I will admit too, a big thanks to the nice comment from what's it gone? It's gone off the screen now. Sorry, I just had it here. There it is. From Stylab. Stylab, yep. Much appreciated. Always nice to get nice comments because, believe it or not, they don't actually come that often. So I'm happy for that. One of the things I was actually going to say is when you do go to a local hardware store, like a home improvement, like a standard type hardware store, I've got your link handy, so just give me a sec, I'll bring it up in a sec, is that they don't have a lot of electronics related stuff. It's more sort of plumbing, or it's the heavier sort of hardware stuff. So you probably have to go to your standard sort of those sort of electronic stores. I don't know what you guys call them in the US. They used to be called Radio Shack or something like that. Those sort of places.
They all closed. They're just online now.
Yeah. So in Australia, we have a couple. We have a place called Alltronics, which I showed you before on the label. Another one called J-Car. Those sort of places, they deal in a lot more sort of the electronic stuff. So they'll have things like M3 screws, which are compatible with Eurorack. They'll have things like tiny little cable ties, tiny width Velcros. Otherwise you're buying the sort of more home level stuff, and it's usually thicker and bolder and bigger. So but also Amazon, AliExpress, all those sort of things are good as well. I just find if you shop online, you don't sometimes get the pleasure of actually checking something out in your hand first. And I still believe that the mum and dad family businesses that have these stores, we should always support them first and foremost before we support these massive tech giants with their online conglomerates. I really do. They'll keep throwing money at us, but I honestly think the mum and dad small business electronic stores, hardware stores, those sort of ones, they are the ones that we should look after, because you're never ever going to beat local knowledge. And if they know their products inside out, you can just go up to a counter and say, I'm looking for this. Do you have anything like that? And they'll take you straight to the shelf. It's that sort of stuff you can't
But
beat.
as you browse, you find things you never heard before, or saw before, or even considered, and then you have these crazy ideas like, oh, I could take that over there and put that with that. On a website, I would never see that. There's no possible way.
That's exactly right. You never ever get the ability to do that, do you, Andy? It's kind of like you, unless they suggest it, which very rarely they go to the trouble to do
they
that.
don't know usually.
They don't know. Yeah, you're right.
But you can say, walk something over to another aisle, and you go, hey, look, they actually go together. That's kind of cool. Maybe I'll buy that. It's cheap.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, just trying to keep an eye on chat. Good. All right. That is it for news. Okay, so it was interesting, the news. What did you guys think of the news this week?
Cool. There's
Yeah,
some interesting
so
bits
just
in there.
the
Like
work
the drum
thing.
module and the phaser. They were interesting.
Yeah, the
I'd already been
phaser.
tempted by Gaz's little things. I may still yet. Well, then it occurred to me, actually. You mentioned going around hardware stores. Another place, actually, it's just sometimes full of great little ideas is in this country and probably other places in Europe. I'll pronounce it the sensible way. I'll pronounce it Lidl because I got told off for calling it Lidl the other day. So and that's things like this. Bundles and bundles of cable ties.
Yeah, they're so
You know,
handy.
You just tie them up.
Yeah.
And if you decide you want to undo it, you just cut through them with a pair of scissors, and that's the end of them. But there's so many. Not probably very environmentally friendly, but certainly very wallet friendly.
Yeah, indeed. Indeedy. Beautiful. All right, shall we hit this button? I think we should. Phew. Interactive. Oh, look at that. Straight up. Full screen. Loving it. Beautiful. My new little scripting's working. Flight of the Harmony Quad Plague Bearer. Now, so let me explain. This is Price Watch. Some of it's scamming. Some of it's just, what the hell is this? And some of it is, wow, let's check out the prices of this stuff. This one came across my desk and I thought, wow, this looks really kind of rare and original, and I didn't even think the price was actually anything to worry about. It looks very custom. Has anyone ever heard of the Quad Plague Bearer? It's got a great name, isn't it? It looks like
I don't know, but I think I want one.
It looks like a filter bank of some sort,
I don't
doesn't
think
it?
I want one either.
Yeah.
I heard of the
Yeah.
company, but not that
Plague
product.
bearer.
Flight of Harmony.
Yeah, also,
That's their logo, by the way. It's like the mathematical symbol with a little. I love their logo. It's so great. It's a really, really cool logo.
is that like? Is it like the shape of the Sherman filter bank type thing?
It does look like a filter bank, doesn't it? It really does.
Yes.
Anyone in chat saying that they've got one? Not yet. Not yet. Stephen said he's heard of the Plague Bearer. Okay.
God.
Anyway, 475
Topical names,
US.
Grace.
This auction is still live, people. So I can actually give you the link to this auction if you want. If you want to go and bid on it. It is based in Utah, where the Saints are.
I'd have to look up and find out what one is.
Oh, they're from Leeds.
Yes.
I think it's a filter bank, isn't it?
This guy's got 100% feedback.
Filter bank.
He's got 100% feedback. Okay, let me go to this view and I can show you guys a little bit more on the live view. Look at that.
High, low gain. It has filter 1, filter 2, so what? This is very nice.
There's some interesting connectivity in the bottom there, hasn't there? Yeah, look at this manual.
Just what you need. A good dose of bubonic.
Yeah, bit of
It's time for
bubonic.
the news, that's for sure.
All right, let me, out of the kindness of my heart, let me put this. Let me put this in the chat so that you guys can go and check it out yourselves. There you go. There's the linky. Right. Next one. Roland VP330 vocoder Plus. It's
Wow.
basically well, the Behringer one has come out now, hasn't it? And what are they, about 350 pounds, the Behringer ones? But 4,499, I didn't think that was kind of too bad. The postage is a bit steep. This is in Whittier in California. A couple of California listings. Let's have a look at the live listing. We can check it out and a little bit more. Gee, these things are beautiful, aren't they? Like, it's just a real craft to make an old synth look really nice. The wood and the layers. It's just so beautiful to look at these things. I would still get one of these if I could.
God, the X bass is expensive.
Below, yeah. This has been pretty good.
That was a Frank Ellis favorite.
Couple of chips. So, yeah, apart from the postage, which I think is a bit steep, I don't think it's anywhere near that, to be honest, in real life. The postage is probably a scam. What do you guys think of the VP330 vocoder? Anyone want to buy that? I'll give you guys the link to the auction. It's actually live. Another one that's live.
Ken says plus it's a Mark 1.
And that meaning? What does that mean? More rare, better?
Yeah, what does that mean?
One before Mark 2.
Yeah, the one before Mark 2. It probably had more faults than the Mark 2.
The one after Mark 0.
So if you buy it, you probably have to send it straight to Kent and he'll mend it for you. While swearing a lot. Oh,
Yeah.
no, not a bloody Mark 1.
Well, here's an answer, Jet.
I
Here we
have a
go.
little boutique one.
Better, better ensemble.
That's
Better
right.
ensemble. There you go. You guys have seen the answer now. Better ensemble. All right, let's go back to here. We got another one. Ready, set. Pew. Anyone want a clap trap? I've seen these things before. These are crazy. This one's a bit scammy, this one. Shipping's okay. This one is located also in Whittier in California, probably from the same guy. I also buy vintage synthesizers and keyboards. Broken, no problem. Message me what your... And then, yeah, anyway. Claptrap, eh?
Talking claptrap.
Here's a bit. Yeah. Let's have a little squiz at the claptrap here. What the hell happened there? There we go.
Look at the Juno 60 at the bottom. That's 3,400. I mean, that's getting to silly stages, isn't it, really?
Yeah.
No, I know it's not. I think that's proper fine. That.
I mean, what does this thing do? This just makes clap sounds, doesn't it? Is that what this does?
I think they need to go up a
Has
bit
anyone
more,
actually got? Has anyone actually got one of these, or had one of these? It's a very slow clap. Clap trap, yeah. Very similar name to something else, isn't it?
So Radiophonic Workshop had some stuff like that. I think the Wobulator website you can use with the Google MIDI stuff has a clap thingy in it, clap generator.
Right. Okay. I do have more. Let's get through them. Foga time. I think this is starting to get silly. Very, very silly indeed. Now, there's a couple of MIDI Murph models. The 105. This is the 105B. This is the bass Murph. I don't know how rare these are, but like, okay, so halve that for pounds. What are we talking about? 800 pounds for a Moog Foga. It's just a pedal, people. Seriously, the postage is not bad. This one's located in Japan. That might actually have some idea of why the price is what it is. Let's have a look at the live listing. Oh, I didn't paste the link of the claptrap in. People are going to get upset with me. I'm not pasting links. I need a little secretary. There's the link to the claptrap, and yeah, and this is the Moog Foga link coming up. Sorry, I've only got 2 arms. Right, don't know why you need to see the bottom of it. Anyway, there you go. You can buy that now as well. Beautiful. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but the Moog Foga prices are going insane. I'm actually thinking I might sell my Moog Fogas because I don't love them that much. I do love them, but I don't love them that much that if they're going insane right now, they'll come down eventually in price. There's no way they're going to keep going up. It's a stupid price. What about this thing?
Flood the market with yours, Ranz.
Oh, I've only got one of each. I don't have all of them either. I've got like all the main ones.
Sonics. ring mod.
Yes.
Vacuum tube ring mod.
Yes. What is this thing? What is this thing?
Have you ever seen this guy? Have you ever met the Metasonics guy?
I haven't met him, no.
He's quite a character. I met him at a synth meet once in Berkeley, and he makes really weird stuff with vacuum tubes. So he's famous for the effing effer amp with all the pornographic stuff.
Yeah. I've heard about that guy.
I won't say that it really says it on the package, but you got to look up the artwork. It's pretty funny.
But what I'm like getting really close to hitting that add to cart button because it's had a 32% price drop. People, it's like it's gonna go out the door. 10,000. This is Australian dollars, so £5,000. Nick's gear locker. I'm pretty sure I've seen Nick's gear locker before on the show. G'day to Nick. He's in LA, in California. Yeah.
What was yours? It was bright yellow, so it really stood out in a rack with the tube sticking out of it.
There's a couple of photos here. Let's have a look. This doesn't look very yellow, does it?
Not this one, but his classic stuff was bright yellow. It's really expensive stuff.
Danger, high voltage. Ooh. What is that about? High voltage? Serious? How old's this thing? Ring mod carrier. So what is it? Kind of like a ring mod through a tube, through a vacuum tube with a wave shaper. There you go. And just say that. I can read. I'll put the link to that. That's also live, and you guys can go bid on that as well. Do not come back to me and tell me that you've blown all your money and your wife's chasing you around the house with a rolling pin. It is called Price Watch and Scammers
Rolling pin
for a reason. Well, she might be chasing me in stiletto shoes at the same time. Anyway, we are going to tell us what's your favourite price watch this week. Just to quickly recap, we had the Quad Plague Bearer, we had the Roland VP 330 first edition, the Music Aid Claptrap, the Mogafoga, MIDI Murph, Bass Murph, and the Metasonic Ring Mod Vacuum Tube Dyson. No.
The silliest one was the Claptrap, wasn't it? Really, I mean, that's just bloody plain daft.
Yeah.
I mean, no one's going to spend that sort of money on something that sounds as crap as that thing does. So, sorry, I know it's all subjective, and if that's what you really want, and you've been lusting after it since 1981, just because somebody said Gary Newman used it once, I know. Well, no, silly. I mean, the Roland, the VP330 is a thing of joy and beauty, and if you can afford to buy one of those, then you will feel it's justified that sort of price because they're quite rare. But there we are.
Just like Daniel says, I got the Ring Mod and Phaser Mogafogas last year. I didn't get mine last year, I got mine a couple of years before that, but the Ring Mod Mogafoga is a really good ring mod. If there's such a thing, I'm at the same time, you've got a carrier and then you've got the doubling and the blending of the way, that's ring mod. I don't really know how you can make it sound so good, but the actual Mogafoga one,
too, the CV and all that,
is really good. It's really, really good. Like, there's a track that I made on the first album I made called Resolutions, which is called Genesis, and it's got that ring mod pedal all through it, if you ever want to hear how cool it can sound. So yeah, if they make it to albums, I reckon that makes them worthy of a smile at least. Now, speaking of Wagyu, and speaking of smiles, which actually has nothing to do with why I said speaking of Wagyu, but he's all full of smiles, Wagyu, because he's pretty cool. He's actually contributed this week to this segment. Yes, name that synth. Now, if you actually have never ever come to this show before and you're watching it and you're scratching your head and thinking, what the hell? This segment is absolutely brand spanking new. We've been doing it probably only, 10 times or so now. It's like it's on CNN. Not really. Anyway, it's really, really cool because you get people submitting videos like what Wagyu's done this week. And what are we doing with them? Well, what we have to do is we have to listen with our ears, watch with our eyes, but don't let those eyes trick you too much, because really all it's about is the synth And if we can guess it, you get bragging rights for a week. So, without further ado, I need to quickly click on something before, otherwise you won't hear a thing. Actually, you might hear a thing. Let me just try something. Okay, let me just check if it's working. Yep. Yes, yes, yes. Name that synth, people. Name that synth. We've got a countdown.
It said MIDI channel in the top left. Some bit of Russian tat. Sorry.
That's okay. It's definitely Russian. Well,
lovely.
actually, it may not be Russian.
Bulgarian.
It could be. Yeah, it's with that
Azerbaijan or
yeah. Yep, it might be. But it's definitely of that part of the world. So Russian or Russian-speaking type languages.
East European.
I can't tell the difference between. By the way, I have. You're the linguist here, Mr. Brooks.
D22.
But yeah.
Yeah, so not so clever on Russian. I can do some working out from bits of Greek, which I did years ago. But you're going, no, hang on a minute. That N is an I, and that D-shaped thing is a D.
Yeah. Yes.
That
anyway.
P is an R. A P
Now,
is an R and a
I have no
T is an
idea
F and an
if
R.
anyone's got this correct. Let's have a quick look at what the chatties have been saying. There's been some guesses. There's been Polyvox. There's been Sputnik. Yeah. There's been some very nice examples. Okay, why don't we go back to here and why don't we reveal it? There you go, people.
Grey Wolf. Well
Yes.
done.
Yes.
Got it.
Oleg got it, did he?
Yeah. So the penultimate rhythm 2. But he's got an advantage because he's Russian.
Oh, he'd know. He did say maybe rhythm 2. Yeah, we go. Let's grab that before.
Yeah, it says it over there,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely said it.
Okay, and we'll just put this up here just to prove it. It's going to change in a sec. Come on.
I think Kent had it first. I saw Kent say that.
He said, what did he did Kent say rhythm 2 as well? He definitely said Polyvox C22.
I'll check it now. I'm just checking through it now.
A DM2.
No, Ken said DM2.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, he didn't have it. Yeah, no, it was Oleg. Oleg's the correctie. Oleg gets to wear the Guernsey for a whole week. Bragging rights. Yes. Brilliant. Probably the only person in the channel that can fluently speak and read Russian anyway. So Wigoo probably forgot that he sometimes jumps in on the show. Well done, Daniel. Good man. Good man. That was actually really good. I enjoyed that. Let's have another quick look at the synth because I've never ever seen one of these in my life, and we all know Mr. Wigoo's got a massive synth collection over there in his cave, and yeah. Does yours look as good as that though? That's my question. Does yours look as good as that? I wouldn't even know what to do. I mean, I'm guessing oscillators, filter, mixer, envelope generators. I'm guessing. I mean, I'm looking at symbols here, but yeah. What do you think, Darren? Is that something you'd buy? Would you buy the rhythm?
Yeah, just because it's weird, and I'd just be twiddling the knobs, basically.
Yeah.
And then sticking my own stickers underneath, seeing what it could be. This sounds like it's a filter, so I'll put...
You can sort of work them out. Eventually that you can get through the Cyrillic alphabet and sort of begin to piece it together. And of course Google will do it for you.
Grey Wolf, who's Oleg in the chat, if you're wondering who he is, he's the creator of the Blue Arp, VST, and also the hardware. If you've never ever met him before, he's in chat, you say hi to him. He's the one that's got the bragging rights for the week. He said it's a small maker here in Moscow called VG-Line who makes them. Yeah, it's awesome. That is awesome. I would actually love to get my hands on some Russian synths because there's some really, really good ones. The Polyvox is an example. Yeah. There's a pic online with controls in English. There you go. Do that again, Andy. Sorry, I missed it. Do that again. Go on. Andy, do it again. Wave your flag again. I can't hear you muted, by the way.
It's a Japanese flag, isn't it?
It's a revolution.
Japanese Mount Fuji hiking stick. I use it for picking up stuff. But I have all the brands from climbing Mount Fuji many years ago. So, but it makes a great stick to reach stuff when I'm sitting down. So, well, good would appreciate that.
I haven't actually checked out Xils-labs. I've been meaning to though. Yeah, there you go. Grey Wolf saying where you can get them from in chat. Oh, I loved it. I loved it this week. It was a really good one, Daniel. So thank you very much for that. And the good news is we actually have another one lined up who Eddie's done as well. So we've got one ready for next week as well. So this is really good. This is what we want. We want to have a bank of them ready to rock and roll. Now, if you are someone that's thinking to yourself, I could do better than Wagyu. I'm going to trick these buggers. Someone is not going to guess mine. Excellent. That's what we want. You're the person. If that's you, all you have to do is get in contact with me. These gentlemen, by the way, all they do is they pop it up on their YouTube channel unlisted so no one can watch it, making sure they don't share it and keep it quiet, all that secret stuff. And I will never give it away to anyone anyway. So you can send the link to me and you'll be getting all that sort of kudos on the show next week maybe, or the week after. So if you think you can beat, who's had the most trickiest? I think Darren was pretty tricky. I think Eddie's was pretty tricky. Wagyu's was pretty tricky, but someone guessed it.
All been tough.
They've been tough. I think I got one through that no one guessed.
Was really difficult because it was very obscure, but definitely interesting. So thank you for that one, Wax.
Now remember, the rules are that they can use any sound that synth itself can make. So if that synth has got effects in it, you can use one of those crazy workstations like the Kurzweil 2500 or something and can make a million sounds in that thing. No one would ever guess. If it's got sequencing abilities, if it's got sampling abilities, go for it. If that's what you want to use. The whole thing is we should see some obscurity with the graphics, like try and make it hard for us to visualize it. We have to use our ears. So good segment. I've enjoyed that so far, and much appreciated to Daniel, as I said before. Right. We've reached Saturday Sonority time, people. That's that time of the day. What time is it? Wow, it's 11 o'clock over here in the night. It's late. Right. So what I wanted to do now is I wanted to go back to our discussion about this. Managing the mess. Yep, managing the mess. During the early show, as I said, we went over all the stuff. I'm not going to go over it in detail like I did at the early show. But what I did do is I talked about these things, the tendrils, these cables, the tendrils. If you're wondering what they are, you can see in the diagram, they're right-angled 3.5 millimeter. There's a few benefits with these. I have just literally just about bought out all of them in stock in Australia. That's what they look like. There we go, focus. Nice and thin. That's the important thing. The cable itself is nice and thin. If I grab a hoser next to it, you can see the difference in thickness if it wants to focus. So difference. So you're looking at about 2.4 mil versus 3.5 mil. So an extra mil thick. That actually makes a difference because when you've got cables going everywhere, the thinner they are, the neater it looks. And it's a good little shot here. I'll show you with my setup, where you can actually see that. So you can see how they're sort of routing off through faders, and see that? It kind of doesn't get in the way. And that's the thickness is actually part of the benefit. The other benefit is the height of the plug. You can see the height of the plug. It's not too high. Whereas if you look at the hoser over here, look how high she is. She's like the Eiffel Tower, like getting in your way. See what I mean? Your hands are going in to touch sliders and that's getting in your way. So the Erica ones are pretty good, by the way. These are the Erica ones here. So yeah, the other good cables too, by the way, are the tip-top stack cables. These are really good. So you can do passive stacking. Right angle plugs are good because you can direct where you want them to go. So we talked about that briefly. What else did we talk about? We talked about my little hack. If it's going to show on this. So we took that briefly with these little things here. So that's just those, what they call P-clamps. They're from electronic stores. They're just a little cable fastening. We talked about knurlies. Knurlies from Bafako. Hello, Bafako, if you're watching. Leave the money on the fridge. Knurlies. Upside down, Miss Jane. All the electrons are going to fall out. Ooh, there you go. Knurlies. Why are knurlies so good? So I did briefly tell people before. I'm going to say it again because a lot of people are like, I don't want to pay money for that sort of stuff. And modules come with screws. What's wrong with screws? Well, undoing a module with your fingers is actually really, really handy instead of trying to find that screwdriver that will fit. That's the first thing. But the second thing that probably more importantly is these have got like a little nylon washer. And you can see just at the end of the thread, there's a little nylon washer there. And that actually stops your modules from getting what they call rack rash, where around the screw hole. Rack rash is, these won't show up because these have always had knurlies in them. But what is this to do with making a mess? Well, you're going to get these kind of scratches all around that screw hole with just standard screws. Now, you could probably say to yourself, well, I could just get some nylon M3 washers. Why don't I just do that? Well, you can, but you'll probably lose them. No, that's not going to go in, is it? There we go. The knurly ones stay where they are, which is actually benefit because you don't lose them. So there, knurlies, I recommend knurlies. And the other reason why I recommend knurlies also is because, going back to that other viewer that we had before, upside down, all the electrons are going to fall out. Boom. They actually can hold cables up too. So that's kind of neat. It's kind of neat, like double sort of benefit. Organising modules, we talked about. I'm just rushing through this, guys, because we're going to be talking about various subjects with this. I'm rushing through it for a reason. The planning your setup is important. So I recommended that you use Modular Grid, which most of you know about. If you don't, they're modulargrid.net. Get yourself an account. Plan your skiffs that way. It tells you how much space you've got. It tells you how much power it's consuming. It tells you how much you've spent. Don't look at that one.
I did it myself. As you know, Ranzee, I did it myself the other day for the first time.
Yes, I like that.
Okay, I'm going to do that. I'm going to put mine up. I'm going to do that. And it was actually it was way more useful than I ever imagined it could be. Because I was moving modules around because I wanted to take the case to Grace's. I want to work out where am I going to put these. It was only slight little bits of moving around, but it helps a lot. And then I thought, well, I did the one case, and I thought, well, I might as well do the other one, and then put them all together. And then it tells you how much it costs, and then you go, oh my word! But I really did. I mean, you can stick the picture up if you can get hold of it, Ranz. I mean,
okay.
It'll be on your Facebook.
It would be. Have to scroll back a bit because we were gas bagging, as we do. There it is. Save as. Give me a sec.
It's okay.
Give me a sec. You can do a small interpretive dance or something while we're waiting, if you like. You don't have
Another
to.
one. Vogue. Yeah. Let your body move to the music. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sorry,
There you go,
copyright
Brooksy.
strike.
Don't tempt me, sir.
The algorithm. There you go. Yeah. So that's there are 3 modules in there that I haven't got yet, but they are on order. So it was just moving things around, working out where things go. So and really useful is the gaps at the end, and it tells you how much free space you've got left. And now I know that I've got 72 HP free once I've got the 3 modules that I haven't yet got. Is anybody want to? We could play. Guess which modules are intruders? Which are the intruder modules in there? Anybody? Any thoughts?
Well, you've already got one in there that you haven't got yet.
Well,
you?
yes, that's true.
So-
yeah, there's definitely. Well, there's 2 more actually. There are 2 more modules in there which I don't yet currently have.
So the FX8 XL is one that you haven't quite got yet.
Yeah, that's right. The FXA, which is stuck next to the Tesseract mixers on the left there.
Yep.
3rd row up. There you go. That's not in, but is imminent. So that's
The
whether it's the
VPME
XL
drum
or
thing, do you
just-
have
or
that?
just, yeah, I do that. The QD I've got on the Euclidean circles and the Z5000, the Presonus. Anybody wants to have any other guesses? All right, I'll put you out of your misery.
Dystopia? No, it's not Dystopia. What's it called? The Dreadbox thing.
No, it's in the Nostalgia. Had that almost since the beginning.
Okay.
No,
Yeah.
it's actually it's on the bottom row, and it's the sequential switch. I haven't yet got. The
Oh,
sequential
yes.
switch,
Oh,
so
that's definitely worth getting. That is definitely worth getting.
Yeah, so gonna get the sequential switch, and the other one might come as a surprise, but it's the System 100 sequencer, which I haven't got, which I'm definitely going to get, because the idea of just pinging out rhythms out of the Euclidean circles into that, and it's stepping through the different things, and then down to the 960 sequencer. That's something I'm definitely going to be playing about with.
Yeah, you can't have enough sequences. You can never have enough.
So
the only thing
3 modules are definitely on the way.
The only thing I'd say, Andy, about the System 100 sequencer is if you really, really want to get a better version of that, get the Metropolis or get the Metropolis X, the newer one.
Yeah.
Because they are basically the same thing.
Expensive.
Oh, I know, but
A lot bigger.
because what's that? That's the 182,
Yeah.
and the Metropolis is a 185, basically. So they're both System 100 kind of things.
The MYK 185, I was looking at that, but again, they're all a bit pricey. But I just thought, just to stick it in,
Yeah.
because all it's needed for is the pitches. If you're triggering the rhythms and things from the Euclidean circles, then you just require the pitch. Anyway, so that was that.
No, that's fine. And it's actually a good segue because
RYK native. RYK 185.
The RYKs have a header. You can actually chain them together.
I was going to say, if you do get that sequencer, I know you've got your own, what do you call it, quantizer. This module here, the Caltrans, this is a great module. So this is a 4-channel quantizer / tuner. And so at the moment, I've got this set up just with the Behringer oscillator 104. And that is a really, really stable tuned oscillator. And one of the things that I love about it is you pretty much turn this on and within literally 10 seconds, it's tuned and it stays tuned. And I love the octave controls and the semitone controls on this. And you can also put it in quantized mode. There's a little quantize button here just under that cable.
That's actually really cool.
It is a really good module, and the great thing about it's made by Clavis. The great thing about the Caltrans is they're actually really cheap. They're actually really, really, really cheap, and they're probably not quite as cheap as the Dope for one, but I actually found them. I found them to be extremely good value. The fact that it's got 4, so that you can send it off to 4 different analog
Yeah, because
oscillators.
the depther's only got 2 channels. It's only got quantized 2 channels of CV. So another quantizer was definitely being considered.
And you need one with that. You need one that Behringer sequencer.
Certainly for tuning.
You definitely need it with that Behringer sequencer.
Just all round tuning, because that's a bloody pain in the bum, isn't it? In Europe, right? Trying to get all these things in tune with each other.
Yeah. Oh, those things are lifesavers. I mean, I've got the ADAC Systems intuitive quantizer, where you can actually turn off, like you can actually program the whole chromatic scale manually if you want to in that thing. It's insane. But for me, I just find that Clavis one so easy to work with, and it's also the way you do the tuning. It's automatic. So you literally plug in your 1 volt for octave keyboard in, and you plug your oscillator in, and it automatically tunes it, and it remembers it, and then you just store it. Job done. It's so easy. Anyway, we're going off on a tangent.
I've just had a quick jump and have a look at the price of them. £134 is the price for one of those, which is more than the depther. But if you've got 4 channels of quantizing, it's better value.
It is.
Well,
yeah,
it's
good value for money. They're a pretty decent price, I think. I think I actually paid more than that too when I got mine, because I've had mine for a while now. Okay, so let's get the discussion back onto cleaning up the mess. So one of the things I wanted to ask you guys, don't worry about hurting anyone's feelings or anything like that. I just wanted to sort of get your opinion. Did you guys feel? Sorry, I've got to be quick with this stuff. Does that Eurorack, forget about this mess here, does that look better? Does that look more inviting and more functional compared to that's how it looked a week ago?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it does. It looks better. It looks easier to use and everything.
There was one rule that I set myself when I was doing this, and that was that I wanted it still to be functional, that I could unpatch and patch things. So I didn't want to be cable tying stuff down and making it so that it was impossible to, Velcroing, or, that sort of stuff. So for me, the other part of the whole organising thing is using modular grid is actually really, really helpful for this. That is that I would thoroughly recommend that you put your modules in a physical place. So if you've got a 2-row rack, it's important to put them in a place where, for example, all my mixers and stuff is at the back here, and I'm not going to really be needing to touch that much, apart from this row here at the front where the mute switches are. That's about all I'm going to touch. But the plugging in and all that sort of stuff, it's kind of more lower level touching. You sort of plug them in and you forget for a while. I'm going to be patching these and using these sliders a lot more than I'm going to be touching this. So that's why they moved back a row, and all the cables just tuck in underneath. And if you go to the other module up higher, the tendrils really help with not making the mess where you've got... Andy, that shot that you had of your setup, just go back to that, because I know it's a button for you.
This sad mess here?
Yeah. Look, this is not a blight on you or anything, but this was exactly how mine looked before. See how he's got all the cables and they're just draping down everywhere. And all that is, and it's nothing against Andy at all, this is not a blight on him. This is what I had. I had this problem as well. All it is that there's a whole bunch of cables that you just don't have access to, so you've got to use what you've got. So one of the things about cleaning your mess up is that you actually do have to make some purchases and actually choose the right length cables. Part
of the reason it's so messy is you were earlier talking about color-coded cables and lengths.
Yeah.
And because I have just different units, sometimes this is all close together now. When I first set this up, it was on a table way spread out and linearly. So I needed those really long cables to hook everything together. And so I got the really long purple ones.
Yeah.
And not quite long green ones.
How about the tip-top ones?
Slightly less blue ones. And I got some stackables that are different colors.
Yeah.
So I know you were saying the color coding you weren't into that much, but when I went to Sweetwater and bought a bunch of cables, I purposely bought color-coded lengths. So when I have them in a bag and travel with them, I can just yank out the right one I need. And I did the quick I was doing a thing with a friend the other day on Google Meet, showing him some modular stuff. And so I quickly just grabbed whatever I had and made a mess. Normally I wouldn't like that. And also, if you show that link I sent you with the cable tie thingies, those I'm going to buy. I bought those. They didn't show up yet. I'm going to clean up with that too. So.
Yeah, just so let's pick on that point that you made, Andy, about the colors, because I mentioned that in the early show. So one of the options that I mentioned in the early show was that when you buy your cables, buy the colors of those cables at the same length. So for example, black might be 10 centimeters, red might be 15, etc. And that way, when you're reaching for a cable, you literally reach for the color. That is one way of doing it. I don't know personally if I would go that far, only because I haven't had the luxury of buying bulk amount of cables in one hit. I sort of buy them as I need them as my Eurorack grew. So I've ended up with like a rainbow of colors of different lengths. So for me, the other way to do that is to get one of those, those cable organizers that sit like, they're like fingers, and you just hang your cables on them and they just hang down, right? Look at Brooksy. Yeah, you need to do something better than that, mate. That is a mess.
That's because.
So that sort of idea.
Come back to me on that one.
That sort of idea where they're hanging down is better, and each one of those sort of teeth or fingers, if you want to call it, they'll have different lengths. And the one I've got, it's coming in. I'll probably be able to show it to you guys next week. At the moment, you can see my cables are just sitting there. They're just kind of all bundled together. That's no good either. At least they're not all tangled up though. But one of the things is that once you've got one of those organisers, you'll be able to just grab the length properly then, because they are going to be from shortest to longest, because, why would you do it any different?
I mean, Darren's got them all sort of draped. I've got...
That's the thing there.
I don't know if you yeah.
This one is for audio cables, but I have one on the side of my modular as well.
Yeah, so that audio cable ones are thicker. The teeth are thicker, so they won't hold the...
Much thicker.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry, Brooksy, you want to say?
Well, I don't know if you can see, but I've got one of the things that you're describing just there with the cables in. This is all the stuff that's on the floor now, and that I just picked up was what I took over to Grace's on Thursday. So that I just haven't sorted them out again, because they were all arranged according to length, with the shortest at this end and the longest at the other end, so that I knew where I was going for different cable lengths. So I'd organised it that way. But now I'm going to have to start again and lay all these cables out according to length, and then stick them back in the tongue things here. So
yeah, so you've actually got one of those. Where did you get yours from? Is that Erica Synths one?
It is the Erica Synths one, and I think I got it from Juno. I think when I bought the something or other. Anyway, I just
is that the 200 mil?
One of those. It was. It's.
So think of a ruler, right? 300
20
mil.
centimeters. Yeah, it's 20 centimeters. That's right.
Yeah, that's exactly the one I'm getting
to. It's. I'll tell you. Trying to screw the bloody thing into this piece of wood was a chuffing nightmare as well, because trying to get my hand. Because they're right there. How do you get the bloody screwdriver in without tearing your hands to shreds?
You could use that really good double-sided red tape that's super heavy duty.
Yeah, that's an idea. Just double-sided tape. The 3M
heavy duty one.
The 3M brand one is really good.
Outdoor.
Yeah.
Look for that.
Let's just jump over here, because Andy Synthetic wanted us to see this. This is the Night Eyes. Yeah, Night Eyes. That makes sense. Gear tie. So pack of 4 for $7.
Some of those green garden ties you use for plants.
It's Australian dollars
outside with a metal core.
That's Australian dollars, by the way, people.
These are short ones, so they're easy to get in and out of, but they have longer ones too, and different colors if you want to color code.
What are they? They're like a rubber thing, are they?
It's rubber with a metal core, so you bend and it stays.
Right.
Like they have garden ones that are the same. They're green for your plants.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about now. And
these are more for electronics.
So 3-inch is that the length, or so that would be the length, 3 inch.
Yeah, I like the short ones because it's you don't have to unravel all this crazy stuff. It's quick and dirty, get in and out. which is why I think it's faster than those sausage things. So,
all right, I will paste that link in the chat so people can go and
if you
buy
look in that
stuff on
same
Amazon.
brand in that same area, they have color-coded ones and are bulk pack are much cheaper actually.
Thanks to David for the super chat. I don't know if I've missed it. Yeah, it's just gone off the screen. Let me just grab it quickly from here. Has it gone off the screen here too? Yeah, it went off the screen. Sorry, David. I just missed it being busy. It's $9.99. So thank you very much for the super chat. Much appreciated. Always really nice to get that to help out with the show. Appreciate it. Right. So where were we?
A quick thing about colors, real quick, if that's okay.
Yeah, go for it.
So you were saying, yeah, you bought different ones at different times, different lengths, and I kind of did the same thing after a little while until I decided, I want to do this more color coding thing for the long runs and for certain custom setups when I move the boxes around. But when I first bought modular stuff, like I bought the Pico System 3, it came with those little right angle cables, but they're all black. So it wasn't I couldn't color code them. And I bought some other long, cheap black ones that were like 12-inch or maybe twice that length. And they're all black. So when I was learning this stuff and trying to trace everything, at network closets at work, it makes sense. It's clean. It looks nice when somebody does a tour. But when you're trying to trace and they're all the same color, it's a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
So I actually ended up spray painting my black ones and then using a Varathane coat to seal the paint, just because I don't want to rebuy a bunch of cables. So that's the kind of ghetto homebrew kind of way to do it, but it really worked, and until I could afford the nicer color-coded cables. So.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, so moving away from
a similar idea.
Moving away from cables, because I wanted to quickly just really kind of talk about this other part of it, and that is the organising of your modules. Organising your modules is part of actually reducing frustration and mess. And we talked about using modular grid as the starting point of this, and we didn't actually go to the point where we were actually talking about laying them out and why, and some couple of pointers that may not actually be super clear for people who are kind of just getting ideas on how they can help themselves. One of the things that you've got to look at is where are all the inputs and outputs, and some of them are on the left, some of them on the top, some are on the bottom, and some of them are to do with functionality as well, right? So when you're laying out your stuff, one of the things you're going to want to know is, if you look at the magneto over here, right, all the connections to the magneto that are most important are on the far left-hand side. So I really wanted them, magneto's always been there anyway, but I always really wanted it to not get intrusive. That's one of the things I actually like about the Strymon designs. Their modules, their connections are all around the bottom, the top, and the bottom and the sides, and it keeps the cables away from the knobs, which I think is really important. Okay. So when you're planning it, one of the things you may decide as an important part of your plan is you might put a module in a certain place because of where the actual inputs and outputs are. So for example, like with mixers and effects units, where you may not be touching the knobs so much, they're more of a set and forget, you might want them to be at the back or on the side so you can actually like run the cables off. And that creates a nicer sort of setup. So with me, I couldn't do it with everything because you can't have modules, you don't design them. One of the things that kind of annoyed me about Maleco's variegate and voltage block is that, let me just turn that light off because it's, there we go. So with voltage block, which you can see there, all the connections are on the top, and then variegate, all the connections are on the bottom. So I don't know what like bloody drugs they were smoking, but it's the same company. You'd think they would have standardized that. It's kind of disappointing actually, but anyway. The reason why those two modules they don't actually have to be next to each other, but they actually have to be on the same bus board. And the reason why is because they actually use something that a lot of Eurorack module developers don't make enough use of, and that is that you can actually send CV information across the power bus board. There's three power things you can use on a Eurorack bus board. There's plus 12, minus 12, and there's 5. And there's also CV information that you can send across it. So, for example, if I was to click save on this module, I'm going off on a little tangent here, but that will actually save everything on the voltage block as well as the variegate. And those sort of features are actually really nice. And also if I was to start and stop the sequence, they both, there's no, there's quite a lot of modules that you get where you actually have to join them together with some sort of header thing on the bottom at the back. These don't actually have any join at all. It's all communicating across your Eurorack's bus board, the power bus board on the back. So there's no ribbon cable, there's no headers or anything like that. It's actually pretty clever. So that's why they have to stay together. But as a result, one of the things that you want to kind of look at is the lay of the land in terms of like functionality. For me, this bottom row is mainly to do with effects. So you've got tape delay, reverb, distortion, phaser, audio delay, spring reverb. And then this particular corner is just to do with my gate, tempo and time. And it has to be over here because it's all kind of related to this. Up the top is my kind of glitchy sounds and drums. And the Juno 106 chorus is just sitting there because it fills a gap. It's just one of those things. Sometimes you have to make those decisions, right? It can't always be perfect. But if you go over to this rack here, this rack is constantly changing. Like at the moment, it's always been a lot of System 100 stuff, but I've taken a System 100 module out and put it over in the other one now. And now that I've got my oscilloscope in there and the maths is in there, I'll probably end up doing a lot of changes on this. Actually, there's going to be a hell of a lot of changes too when I actually start building my actual proper Eurorack system. There's my frames already, my module frames.
Just sneaking it in there.
Look at that, hey? 104 HP. Yep, and I've got 10 of those suckers. So now during the week, I do share a lot of stuff with my patrons during the week, so they see all this sort of stuff earlier. But one of the things I will share with you guys is I actually did a little mock-up of my my skiff, what it's going to look like. And it's not the greatest. This is just, I just did this in a software program called SketchUp. Have you guys heard of SketchUp? It's kind of like a 3D drawing thing.
SketchUp's great, yeah. Yeah,
so I haven't gone in and done it properly, like I haven't gone in and, hang on, let me just call this skiff. No, it's complaining. Skiff. Oh, it's already here. That's why it's complaining. Duh. I don't need to save it. Okay, cool. Give me a sec. One sec. This view is probably not too bad. This is just a real quick idea. Now I'm building 2 of these. So that's why you can see only 5 rows. I kind of feel that with mine, I want to have 1 row which is horizontal and 1 row which is vertical. And then the rows in between are just like an angle thereof. It was kind of, this was not mathematical at all how I did this. It was all kind of thumb in the corner of the eye. Yeah, it's about there. It was kind of like that. But I'm going to have these 2 next to each other side by side. So you'll have 2 lots of 5 rows. And the reason why I'm doing it in 2 separate cases is so that later on down the track, if I want to sell one, I can sell one. If I want to keep one, if I want to move one around the corner, I've got some flexibility. I'm not just having this massive behemoth 200 HP case, which would be cool, but I don't really want that. And that's actually going to go just here. So where you see all this current Eurorack stuff, those 2 cases will go right there. And yeah, now that I've designed that, what do you guys think of the design? Do you kind of feel is that cool? Would you do it differently?
Those are nice, yeah. I like those.
That's what I've got, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It looks very nice.
But once you set up, you can't move it.
Yeah. I've got this. It's not
going anywhere.
I have got this case here. So these Arturia what are they called? Rack boots. They're actually pretty good to gig on, these ones. Have I got a different view of this? Because what you can do with, I've actually now got this set up properly. There you go. They actually have these tabs. It's hard to see, we can go up a bit. See these tabs here? So that you can pull these out, right? And then the whole thing can close on top of itself like a case. And it will protect all the cables, and that's one of the other benefits of having the smaller, like the tendril cables. So that can close on itself, and then you can actually grab the handles at the back. You can't see it, but that you can grab the handle and carry it like a case. They're reasonably heavy, but that's not a bad, like it's a decent, like there's 89 HP, 2 times 89 HP times 2. So 4 times 89 HP, that's a lot of Eurorack to take on a gig with you if you need to. I think it's kind of plenty. What did you take on yours, Andy? Just your big Go case, was it? When you went to your friend's house?
Yeah, when I ran to Grace's, yeah, I took the right-hand one of these. I moved some of the stuff across from the other one into there, just had to do rearrange for trying to work out where it would best go. That's why I was doing the modular grid thing. I thought, oh, yes, that'll work. So yeah, you can actually put if you're sensible with where you leave the gaps, like I've got gaps at the right hand side, and I could actually put the polystyrene ends on and put it back into the original box that it came in. So for carrying it around was actually reasonably convenient, because it's not that heavy, you know.
No, it's plastic.
Even when it's pretty full of modules. So it's very portable.
Yeah, I've got mine set up slightly different to you. I never actually noticed this, but you've got yours kind of flat, if you like,
Yeah,
and I've got mine.
I went through all sorts of permutations.
I've got mine like that.
Well, that's how I had mine on its stand upright. When I had just the one, that's how I used to have it on the table here upright. Then I bought the second case, and they're trying to work out how to put them together, because what I haven't got yet is the linking things, which is where you can link them together. But even so, doing that, it's still going to be rigid. You'd have to take them off, and I thought, and I did all sorts of sort of permutations of where these things went on this table here, different variations, and eventually I just settled with this, putting them on the laptop stands, which are clamped to the back of this piece of board. Yeah. And that seemed to work nicely. But one of the things I have realised is I'm going to need some much longer cables to reach from one side to the other. You know, it's quite a long reach. I haven't got a long. Oh, I'll just take this out and I'll plug it. Oh, it won't reach. Oh, damn! I didn't
so
that one through.
You need one. Yeah, you need 150s. 150s.
Yeah, it's
from one end to the other.
There's always something. No matter what you do, there always seems to be a problem somehow, somewhere with it. It's never quite right. And now I'm thinking, well, actually, I quite like the idea of it going up there like that, like you've just shown that design. You can make a third one and send it to me.
Yeah,
would work.
But yeah, one of the options you can do is you can whack a plank of wood across those two laptop stands, and like you've got on top of your keyboard stand below, and like I've got in my studio here, I've actually got planks of woods sitting there. Behind the camera you can see it. That's a laptop stand and a plank of wood sitting on top of it. Right? And what I might do is I might move the camera around to it actually. I want to show you something, because this is a little hack that you can get from your standard hardware store. If I go to the System 8, there you go. And I go down a little bit. There you go. So just where you see, so you can see the laptop stands there, and then there's a plank of wood, right? But in front of that plank of wood, that is an L-shaped piece of plastic that you can get, that tilers use. You can see where the TR8 is, and you can see the corner of the TR8. You can see the little L shape is, you can see the plank of wood just popping out slightly because I haven't done it neatly. The plank of wood I got from IKEA because it's one of their shelves, and that white piece of plastic. And the reason why that white piece of plastic, it just sits there. You don't actually have to fix it, but it sits there on the laptop stand. The plank of wood sits on top of it. It's heavy enough to hold it all, and it stops your gear from sliding off. It's like, It's like a little genius thing that I came up with one day, and all your little Eurorack, Behringer Go cases would be able to sit on there without sliding off.
That's what I'm saying. You got to walk around a hardware store. It means a lot. It helps you come up with ideas. So.
Yeah.
But like my IntelliGel cases here, obviously the built-in legs, if you guys have seen those, they're kind of anemic. They only go really flat. But
yeah,
I get this angle I bought those ADAC L bracket duos you can buy. They're kind of expensive for what they are, but I tried making some from hardware store parts, and the metal was just crap. So they use really good quality steel, and they're adjustable, and it keeps them all at this nice angle. And they're just sitting in them like a shelf. They're not attached, so I can easily pull them out.
Just pull them out, yeah.
And then use the small legs on the cases themselves if I want a low angle.
Yeah.
So they worked really well.
Yeah. No, they're a great like gigging case too, because they've got the handle on them, and you can just go, straight to.
And I have the strap too. They don't make the strap anymore, but there's a couple slots.
There's a strap,
in there
yeah.
You can drop these metal lugs into the strap.
Yeah.
Holes.
Do they both attach together, and you can close them on top of each other as well?
I have that too, but I didn't like the angle. You can actually put them brackets like this and have them go one flat and one at an angle.
Yeah.
But then you're like reaching way over, and it's not
yeah. I see what you mean.
So
yeah,
I wanted all at the same level.
Yeah.
So the ADAC, the Portuguese company ADAC makes a bunch of cool modules. They make these brackets that you can buy perfect.
Yeah, ADAC systems. Yeah. I got a few of their modules. I got the intuitive quantizer and something else. I forget what it is. Yeah.
I have their weird random one module. It's really odd, and the radio one is like really fancy radio one for tweaking wave files on a card.
Oh yes, that is cool. That one. I know what you're talking about. I can't remember what it's called.
That's the gold one in the rack. This gold one is the radio one. It's an older style. In fact, if you can't see it from this angle, but one thing we didn't talk about is standoffs, because sometimes these cases are too shallow. So I had to buy some metal standoffs that fit the M3, and it's actually sticking out a little bit. If I had a different light angle, you'd see a shadow from the ADAC case, the ADAC module. It's sticking out a couple millimeters from the case.
Yep. The good thing about the Eurorack stuff is it uses a lot of standard computer type hardware screws, and like things like standoffs. They're all M3s. The threading.
Well, except for the make noise ones are 2.5. Yeah,
true.
So I have the skiff, the make noise skiff. It's all 2.5.
Yeah, that's true. One of the things I had trouble with, and this is anyone who has owned one of these will have the same problem, and that is the Spring Reverb by Dopfer, the A199. The two RCA sockets on the back where you plug, so this little black cable coming out here is actually an RCA cable, and that goes into your Spring Reverb tank, right? That is so deep, like it's about 72 mil from the faceplate all the way to the back. It's really, really deep, and it literally just squeezes. I actually have to sort of push it against which is not a good thing with those RCA cables, but it does fit in the rack boot, but it will not fit in the Behringer Go case at all.
Yeah.
Because of the angle, because the Behringer Go case, they're not like, where the faceplates are, they're not like parallel, they're kind of angled, right? So that's one of the other problems you've got.
IntelliGel are fairly deep, but I have the first cases I bought were actually these Deptford portable, like heavy duty, like PC style cases, almost road cases. But they're AC only, so they're not as useful. You can't use a DC power on them because they got the IEC cable in the back, and they're heavy as hell. So I'm like, I like the IntelliGel better because they're metal, but they're thin and light and deep enough to carry most modules, except for a couple standoffs I had to use.
Everyone's talking about like what people are eating on the show. Darren's got crisps. Brooksy's got
Darren off.
Peanut things.
Peanut.
Unsalted peanuts.
I've got a glass of water. What are you doing, Brooksy?
Brett just asked if I'm still a Supernova owner. So yeah, there you go. There it is. Yeah, Volker's up there and stuff.
We've got X Station over there. Same sound set.
We had this massive like flood in the middle of Central Australia. It's a famous area called the Nullarbor, where it literally ruined the railway link tracks between the whole of the east coast of Australia to the west coast of Australia. So where I live on the west coast of Australia, they couldn't rail freight any of the the goods for the big supermarket chains for probably about 6 or 7 weeks. So there was like, I don't know if you guys seen on the news, but there were scenes kind of similar to the first COVID, panic buys, but they weren't because of the COVID panic buys. It was because there was literally no stock to get it across. So for a little while, obviously there's road freight, there's air freight, there's sea freight, but sea freight takes a lot longer. Air freight is limited to how much you can fit on a plane. And the roads were also flooded. So the roads were the first ones to get back. And then the rail only just got itself fixed this week. So they're still saying it's going to be another 5 or 6 weeks before we'll start seeing like fully stocked supermarkets. It's been really surreal. It's very weird. It's like war. It's like we were in World War II. Like you see images from those days where people were living in bomb shelters and like stocking up on cans and things for 6 months. That sort of stuff going on. It's really, really weird. And it kind of reminded me like you guys were sort of eating all your snacks, and I'm thinking, I can't even get snacks at the moment. There's no snacks. There's none. They're all sitting on a friggin' train, what do you call it, carriage somewhere over on the east coast of Australia.
It's funny, the peak of the pandemic, with the toilet paper shortage, it increased the rise of all those like Toyo toilet kind of things from Japan with the sprinklers in them. Or add-ons that are like that to add to your toilet, because it's like no one can get any paper, so they just buy the sprinklers.
Oh, no. I've never understood that. I just can't imagine myself spraying water.
Actually, I used them in Japan. They're pretty awesome.
I just can't do it. Sorry.
There's the blow dryer that comes out. There's warm water. They're very clever.
I've seen the TikTok videos. It's like
just a
crazy.
fancy B-day. Fancy B-day.
Can I still get beer? We can get beer.
Day goes in the front.
This
goes in the back. So
we can get beer, Lisa, because they make beer locally. So anything that you can get locally, there's companies that make snacks here. There's peanuts that come from Thailand. Thailand can still come here because it's air freighted. So I'm kind of exaggerating a bit, but you can still get beer. You can still get certain things. Definitely, like there's anything that this state itself can produce. We can get all that. So there's plenty of food. It's that there's certain things that you can't get that come from over east, which is like, I don't know if the US kind of works the same, but like in Australia, the major two cities are Sydney and Melbourne. That's where most of the freights kind of start. They go in there, and that's where the two big populations of Australia is. So that's where everything goes. They're not going to send it here where there's a quarter of the population.
Well, I mean, if you hear the news, like off the coast of LA, there are just tons of ships lined up because there's not enough guys to unload them.
Yeah.
So it's not just Behringer stuff delayed; everything's delayed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, we don't even have the luxury of unloading anything. I mean, we got sea freight, of course. Sea freight, there's no problem there. The problem with the freight is at the moment in Australia is cars. People have been buying cars, and they've had to wait 12 to 24 months for a car to come. It's crazy. Like 12 to 24 months. They've been telling people, like, for example, if you order I don't know, I'm just trying to think of a name of a car that you'd order, like a Toyota or something like that. They'd be saying like 6 to 12 months for a Toyota, which are the most common made purchase cars in Australia. And then the more sort of rarer ones can be up to 24 months, like people ordering BMWs and things like that, taking ages for them to get here. It's crazy.
It is crazy.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I don't know, what else does anyone in the chat want to bring up anything about mess, kind of sorting out the mess or anything like that? Or have we covered it all? Yes. I was going to talk quickly about hardware synths as well. I don't know if I'm going to have time. I might have to make that happen next week. Yeah. I'm going to ask you guys a question, actually.
Hope it's an easy one.
So I'm looking at the Peak, right? And being a Peak owner for a while, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff you can do with the Peak. And one of the things you can do with it is you can control it. Hang on a sec, go back to the Peak. You can control it via MIDI, of course, and everything like that. And also, obviously, you control it via USB. It's got one of those wonderful, Novation component type things, that sort of stuff, right? But also, there's this really, really cool, I'm just wondering if you guys have ever come across these things. There's really, really cool Max for Live. I don't know if you use Ableton or not, but you can get these free Max for Live things where you can actually control your Novation Peak from...
Yeah, I got one for the Waldorf Pulse.
Yeah, I got one for the Blofeld. These are really, really cool. I just kind of...
Yeah, Blofeld as well.
Do you guys think this would be...
the one from Isotonic?
This one is just a Max for Live thing. It was free. I can't remember who it was. There is an Isotonic thing as well, an editor, which is a VST one, which is different again. And then there's the components thing, which they did themselves, which is different again. But yeah, what I was going to ask you guys is, do you guys do you want to do a show where we're talking about this sort of stuff? Because I reckon there's heaps of synths that come under that banner. And I think it's kind of interesting.
I love editors. I have a lot of the Sound Tower ones. Those are amazing.
Yeah. It came across...
Yeah, you can... If you fancy doing that, because you can combine the hardware with the software sort of in the box as well.
Yeah.
Which is quite interesting.
And you can automate it as well.
Yeah. So you're still using hardware, but you're also using in the box stuff as well, which is quite interesting, because I used that. I think I used some controlling stuff on the Pulse 2 on the 21 album, which was like hardware, but also using controllers from the software on the door. So yeah, it's interesting to look at if you want to put that as a topic at some point.
Well, you can do all that with quite a lot of hardware synths. A lot of them, like especially the Novation stuff, that has very heavy bases in RPMs, so they're all configurable. They've published all their NRPM codes and everything. Things like your circuit.
Your modular as well, doesn't it, Ranzee?
It does in a way. Like one of the things that you can do is VCV rack, and then if you've got something like what I've got, the FH2 MIDI to CV thing, that's handy. But I kind of want to specifically do hardware synths because I kind of feel that we haven't given it enough love lately. So like right above your head there, Darren, you've got a circuit, right? And you can do exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
With this as with your circuit. You can actually go into all the synth editing. There's two massive synth engines in there. It's pretty much a supernova, what Brooksy was showing before in the circuit. It's a Nova synth engine in there. So you can go in and actually create your own patches and everything. I think we showed it a few years back.
Much more expanded than that, isn't it? I mean, the Supernova synth engine is really, really deep. I mean, just mind-bogglingly deep. But the circuit's got all sorts of little samples and wavetabley type things in it. It's actually a different engine. I mean, it'll hark back to the Supernova. You can remember the Supernova is from 1999, so it's a different thing. But
yeah,
they call it a Nova engine in the spec. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure they said Nova engine.
Oh right, okay. It's interesting because I haven't got any editors except the free thing that was mentioned a while ago for the micro Korg, which is actually really handy.
Yeah, that's good, isn't it?
Enjoyed using that.
Yeah,
it works. Does this really work? Oh, bloody does, yeah. I wish there was. It sounds ridiculous for a machine that's covered in knobs and buttons and sliders, but I really wish there was an editor for the Supernova because there probably is. actually. To be
Oh,
fair.
there is. Yeah,
Because I find it. I still find. I mean, I've had it 20+ years, and I still find it difficult to use.
Yeah. So what we'll do is I don't know if we'll do it next week, but we'll do very soon. We'll do a show.
Future.
Yeah, very soon, and we'll see if you guys can bring something to the table with that. I'll probably play with
One of the cool
Pleague.
things about Sound Tower is they were the first company to have patch genetics. Now you have randomization and all kinds of cool stuff in Hydrasynth and other things. But back, I have it like Korg O&W. It's an old unit. And the patch genetics on there and the randomization made incredible patches I never would have gotten out of an O&W if it weren't for that program.
Yeah.
So.
Like there's things that I would love for them to redo that I haven't, like there's synth editors from Roland that have been disbanded. There's synth editors from Korg that have been disbanded, and there's people that are still rocking with these synths. And yeah, that's the thing with computers. They keep going out in new versions, but they don't. The big giant synth makers don't keep their software up to date.
You can use Libsyn, but Libsyn's a little weird. And then Edison is another one Robbie talks about sometimes.
Yeah.
And of course Patch Base and a couple other ones on the iPad you can use too.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's probably about it for the day. What do you guys want to say? Your quick hooroos to people. That's a technical term.
Just all you Bandcamp members, go and download the new album for you for free. And the Purple Raver or Rave Dave is doing a filter sweep, so keep your eyes open for that. He has been waddling about that.
Thanks for reminding me, Darren, about the filter sweeps, because we've only got like a few days left of the month. I think we said there was only like 9 days or something left of the month. You haven't done a filter sweep video and you've got a little YouTube channel or a big YouTube channel, chuck them up, hashtag FFS and then hashtag FFS 2022 or just 22 if you want to do it that way.
22, yeah.
And I've got one ready to rock and roll. Mine's going to be interesting. I don't think I'll get a...
Actually, I got Nick to post it on Sonic State. Nick posted a news item in Sonic State.
He did. He did. That was, So thanks, Nick, for doing that too. Spoke to Nick. So we're still working out when he's going to join us on the show. We're just working out a day that is... he's busy a couple of weekends in a row, so we'll try and get him on the show soon.
Cool.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have Nick on. And we've also got a couple of other people lined up for the show very soon as well. So we've got some interesting guests coming up. So that's going to be happening. I've posted Darren's Bandcamp thing in the chat, so you guys have got that already. Other than that, thanks Andy, thanks Brooksy, and thanks Darren for joining us. And we'll see you guys all next week. Bye-bye.
Take care, everyone. See you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, everyone.